we're back. And I was worried because I was saying there was a problem with StreamYard, saying it wasn't connecting, or there was a connection issue between StreamYards and YouTube. But hey, it looks like we're working. I'm happy about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Nadine, how you doing?
I am good. I am good. I was ill last week, but I'm over it. So I'm good
Oh
and
no.
I'm here and I'm ready to go.
Ready to go. Ready to go. So when
Yes.
you're ill, what were you, just like working or chilling or writing?
I was
Can you write when
I
you're
was
ill?
no, I tried to. I tried to,
Mm,
but the brain and something misfires when you're sick. So all you can do
yes.
is just lie on the sofa and just watch really bad TV. And if I'd been
Yes.
sick last week, it would have been better because the World Cup, for the World Cup, if it started like a week earlier, that would have been
Ah,
fine. But now it's this
right.
week.
So you're a big World Cup fan.
I am. I am. I said to a friend, I probably wrote about 50 words this week because I've just been watching football. I've given up Belgium and Canada for you. I just want you to know that.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, Belgium and
You're so
Canada.
welcome.
The Luke Deckard Show beat you out.
It did. It did. It did.
So then, okay, so you're a big football fan then. So who do you support? Not in the World Cup first, but first on a national level, on a British.
Domestic.
Yes,
Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace.
Crystal
Why?
Palace is Crystal Palace Football Club is my team. I
Okay,
don't have a good enough answer. I mean, they're South London, and I'm South London, even
sure.
though technically Millwall and Charlton are my closest teams. But
Okay,
Crystal Palace is who I've been supporting since I was 12, so that's my
fair
team.
enough.
I've got my
Okay,
shirt.
fair enough. So
I have my
there's
car
no
sticker.
rationale behind it. There's no like someone
No,
introduced them to you.
no, I don't think there is. I just think I just saw them on TV, and when I was 12, and I thought that's it. That's my team. That's
Fair
South
enough.
London. That's my. It's probably Ian Wright and Mark Bright and all of those, but that is
Right,
my
right.
team.
Okay. Okay. Because obviously I'm originally from the States. So
Mm.
American football is, soccer was we called over there, as everyone knows or should know by now. Didn't really follow it until I moved. Well, didn't really, yeah, did follow it all until I moved to the UK. But even when I moved to the UK, I didn't really get into it because I moved to Manchester. That was the first place I lived, and I was there for like 3-ish
Oh,
years. So I was there right in the center of Man United versus Man City
yeah.
chaos for three, and a few times I went to the pub with friends to watch games, and boy did I struggle. I struggled to care. Like
You
I
need
was
to be there from the beginning.
I
That's
think
what that's
so.
what it is. Or
I
maybe
think
you need to
so.
find a smaller team and then grow with them.
Yes, that could have been the way, but no, I sort of like by default went with Manchester United because the majority of people I knew in Manchester liked them. A few people liked Man City, but yeah, so by default I went with them, and I watched a lot of games. And I will say
Yeah.
I did, because I don't anymore. I did enjoy watching those matches versus watching a football game in the States. I find American football really boring, and I don't know if you do, but I find it really boring. Um,
I used to watch a lot of American football when I was younger.
did you?
For some very strange reason. Yeah, I don't know why. A lot of things I
Weird.
don't have a good enough answer for. But yeah, it was very weird. It was very weird. When I was like 12, 13, 14, I watched a lot of American football. And then I just
Yeah,
stopped.
fair enough. I mean, it makes sense. The weirdest thing though is when I moved to London, and I for some reason came into town. I think I was living in Wembley at the time, and then got the tube into Central and was coming out on Oxford Street, all young and naive, and saw Regent Street just completely lined with NFL flags and Indianapolis Colts flags, which I'm from Indiana.
Oh,
So it was so bizarre to see my home team suddenly here and finding out that they come here once a year for a game at Wembley
yeah.
Stadium. Or yeah, and I was just like, "What? What is this? I
It's the
came to get
most
away
rat.
from
Oh,
you all."
it's no, they follow you.
I do.
Everyone
Okay,
wants to play at Wembley.
you know what the weirdest thing is on the topic of following. So I went to study at University of Manchester. Went to my campus was not the main campus in the town center. It was a smaller campus in Didsbury, which is a nice little village. The weirdest thing, there was a girl who was a year above me, second year, who was literally from my hometown. I didn't know her, but she was literally from my hometown. And I was like, I can't believe this.
No, that's the way the world works. It is ridiculously small. And people you'll never meet in your, in your previous life, you suddenly make a move. Or you go somewhere on holiday and all of a sudden everyone's from your town is there. It's just weird.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. By the way, I'm loving your background. I'm loving, see the Crisis, the Batman.
I made an effort.
Killing, it's awesome.
Killing Joke. Flashpoints on the top.
What's on the top?
I've got Flashpoint on the top.
And Flashpoint. Epic.
Yeah, and Justice League, can't see that one. Dark Side War.
Nice. Well,
so I had to represent today.
No, you did. It makes sense. It looks nice. Mine was a little bit cluttered. I don't think anyone notices, but I changed this bit a little bit. I felt like it was too cluttered with stuff. So I thought
It's more Star Trek.
Yes. I realized Star Trek has kind of taken over, but it's okay. It's okay. I got James Bond's car and I got the DeLorean, but you can't really see it because the lighting isn't.
Oh no, I can see it. I will always spot a DeLorean because Back to the Future is my thing.
but behind me is just pure Star Trek. It's it's my first love. What can I say? It's my first love.
We all have our things, Luke. Okay.
We do. So we're here to chat Black Adam.
We are
Black Adam. Oh, DC. I don't know. We'll get into it. So I asked you for one word to a one-word review of Black Adam, and what was that one word summed up in this picture?
I said explosive. That's all I had, because from beginning to the end, it was just explosions. I don't have a problem with that. It was just explosions. No. And then my brother, my brother, he said electrifying.
Electrifying. Yeah, I like that. Both of those fit. I having watched it. I watched it the other day. I came away with just the word bombastic. Which everything, not just the explosions, but everything was so loud. I know that sounds like such an old man thing to say.
It does.
But everything was so loud. It was like, God, just like calm down. Like the kind of constant repetition of the theme song, like the whole movie was just the one theme, just over and over and over. That I can't even even though I listened to it for 2 hours straight, I can't actually like hum it. But it was like that, whatever that bong 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 bong. Well, that's not it, but it was like that.
That's definitely not it.
Definitely not it. But it was like that.
They had the Rolling Stones paint it black in it.
We're going to talk about that. First, let's talk about the opening. What did you think of the opening?
Yes.
The very long prologue going back in time to ancient, not even ancient Egypt. It was some sort of it was like the first civilization ever, is what they said.
Yeah. It's not, people mistake that it's set in Egypt, but it's not Egypt. I can't remember this.
It's a faux Egypt. They want to be Egyptian, but it's not Egyptian. Yeah.
It's not. I mean, but that's what DC does. DC doesn't actually set things in.
That's
real.
True. That's true.
Yeah. Real places. Gotham's not real. Metropolis isn't real. No, I didn't mind it, and the only reason why I didn't mind them going way back and explaining things is because to me that whole thing it just transported the Black Adam scenes from the Shazam New 52 origin comic, and they just pull it in a movie. So all of that, I was like, okay, this is taken from the comic. So to me, that's cool. Obviously, they changed the relationship because in the comics, not his son, it's his nephew. So they changed, and he basically kills the nephew and takes his Shazam powers, which I think they should have kept. I think that would have been better than making it his son and like, oh, take my powers, Dad. Kill your nephew. That's much more fun. So I didn't mind that, and then it just, she wakes him up. That's literally what happened. She wakes him up, and he goes on a madness. He kills everybody, and then it rolls out into the Rolling Stones into the desert, painted black, and it's just explosions, and you're just like, wow.
Yep. So when I
Okay.
was watching, go on.
Yeah, no, then that's it. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, this is the movie. This is what we're getting.
This is, yes. I mean, it's very clear. You know very early on that the gas is the pedal is all the way down, and it's not going to let up. That's what you're getting. You're not going to breathe. But I did feel so, like, I don't mind these long flashbacks. It did feel a little X-Men Apocalypse to me,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
I feel
did
like
it? No, don't say that.
it did. There's a lot of things, and I know X-Men Apocalypse, I would say, is the worst, but Dark Phoenix is actually the worst X-Men movie now. No,
Thank you so
actually,
much.
what's the New Mutants is actually the worst X-Men movie.
I still haven't watched that, and I don't think I ever will.
You know what? I didn't see it in cinema. I bought it, I think, maybe a year ago on Blu-ray, around the time that Fox was bought out by Disney, because Disney are so keen to, like, remove, like, Blu-rays and, like, take the disc, like,
Yeah.
so you can't buy the physical thing. So I'm gonna go buy it. So I have the whole collection. So I bought it. We watched it, and oh, it was so bad. It was, you understand why it was delayed, and when it came out, like, no one talked about it. It was very bad. But anyway, there were similarities, I thought, between Black Adam and X-Men Apocalypse, because they're superficial similarities, I think, because they both start in an ancient sort of Egypt setting, even though Black Adam is not Egypt, and they sort of conclude in the very same way of the superhero team having to fight the ultimate, world destroying sort of guy. So there were similarities with that, but I think when with the prologue, it felt just a little bit messy, because they intentionally leave information out so that they can do a kind of ham-fisted reveal later on, and that's that reveal with the sun, right? Like, they don't really explain it in that prologue. Do you know what I'm talking about?
But I think, I honestly think that was intentional.
No, it was,
because they want to create they want to create a story. They want to create drama. And how are you going to create drama? By having a twist.
Yes.
It's what we try and do.
Yeah, they wanted you to think Black Adam was the kid, didn't they?
Yeah, that's what they wanted you to think. Black Adam's the kid, and you do, and I think they're successful in making you believe that all the way through. I didn't question it, and I think as well, it made me, I forgot about the origin story to that respect in the comic. So I just followed it along. So when it did came to, it's his dad. But I think the reason why it worked, though, is because it's Dwayne Johnson, it's The Rock. He's massive. He's built like a, well, you know what he's built like. He has no neck. Yeah, he's massive. So when you see this skinny father figure in the prologue, your brain is not connecting that could possibly be The Rock, whoever it was later on. So I think that is why it works. But I don't. What would have worked? What would have been the alternative? Would you want them to tell you at the beginning? Because then there's nothing for you to be.
I think so. I think so, because I don't care. So, like, when it was revealed that it was his son, all that kind of, I didn't care. It wasn't a good enough reveal to me, because we don't really get a chance to know his son. We don't get a chance to know any of that kind of stuff. Like, I think it would have been interesting if they're going to go with that angle that his son was the good guy, and was doing all this good stuff for the people and whatever. I'm not saying you give away the whole story, but I feel like the twist and the reveal, they weren't earned for me, because we weren't invested enough in the son, because we thought the son was him the whole time. It's like, well, we thought that was the son the whole time, or we thought it was him the whole time. Now it's suddenly the son, and it kind of changes our point of view. But do we care? Do we care?
So if you'd known that it was the son, he was the father, that the son was originally he took the son's powers, and then he did a rampage and killed everyone. If you'd known that in the beginning, would you have been more invested in him as a character and understand his motivation for just going off and just killing everyone and just being perpetually angry.
Yes, because he's an anti-hero. He's like Logan. He's basically like Logan, and he's basically the Wolverine in X-Men 1. Yeah. Think about it. No. Except for he's obviously not killing everyone, but X-Men 1 Wolverine, he's kind of in that frame of mind where he's angry and bitter and, ready to go off. He's kind of in that same frame of mind. He's not a good guy. We know he's not a good guy. So I'm fine with him going on a Logan journey of going from I want to be on my own, or I want to like blow everything up, to I actually need to refocus my calling, which is sort of what he does. But they use the manipulation tactic of we're just not going to tell you information. And I think that's why I didn't like the twist. They're just not telling you.
Yeah, but I don't think there's anything wrong with not telling you and withholding stuff, as long as it's justified. Yeah. So for me, they didn't tell you that he's the dad. So when you do find out your dad, you're like, oh. So all these little things start making sense. Him going up to the statue, like, why does he really want to go and look at himself? Like all the time. So him looking at the statue, that makes sense because it's his son. His rage makes sense because it's his son. So having that slow reveal, if it's going to call it a slow reveal, I don't have a problem with that. I don't see him as a Logan character, because Wolverine, he's always been a fighter. He's always been fighting on the side of something. He just didn't. Just that when it came to the X-Men, they kind of had to, he begrudgingly became a part of the team. Where Black Adam, from the get-go, he begrudgingly becomes a part of the team. Yeah, he begrudgingly. Who? Black Adam?
Yes, just like Logan.
No,
because Storm is like, you're either with it or you're not.
What, Storm or Cyclone? Who are we talking about now? I'm getting confused.
Storm in the first X-Men movie. She's like, you're either with us or you're not. X-Men.
Yeah, I didn't like the first X-Men movie. Disappointed me. No, but I still maintain that for me, Black Adam is not. He's not a Logan. He's not a Logan character. And I don't even really see him as being an anti-hero. I just always just see him as being a villain, because in the comics he's just cruel and he's vicious. Yeah, and that's the only thing I didn't like about the DC live action movie, and it's what they said from the very beginning. Was like, he's not going to be a villain, like making it clear, because obviously they want the audience to I suppose sympathize with him and be on his side, and they can't have how can you sympathize with someone who's just evil? Because in the comics he's evil. He doesn't care. He just wants what he wants, and he does whatever he needs to do in order to protect where he lives. But also no one's getting in his way. So that's the only thing I didn't like it. But the film as a whole, I said when I came out of it, it's the first time in a long time I've come out of a cinema, and I've got excited chatter behind me. So people sitting in the back rows coming out, and they're excited about it and they're talking about it. I haven't had that in a Marvel movie for a long time. There's been a bit of okay, that was interesting. So there was excited chatter, so that was nice. And to me, the Black Adam, it felt like. And this isn't simplifying it, because the Justice League Unlimited cartoons are amazing, but it felt like a extended version of a Justice League Unlimited cartoon episode. Okay. That's what it felt like to me. So I think that's why I like it. That's why I enjoyed it. And I loved seeing Dr. Fate, and I love seeing Hawkman, because he's a character.
We will get into all of those guys.
Yeah. And I think I would accept I'm very, very biased, because those are characters that I love and enjoy and I know. So seeing them for the first time, I'm like, oh my God. And they did such a good job. And then they died. Well, one died.
Yes. They did a good job with the way they looked. But I came away feeling they were a little bit flat. But I want to hold off on talking about Hawkman and Dr. Fate first, because there's something else. There's something else that bugged me. And this is the very beginning, because we go from the prologue to modern day. What's the name of the city that they're in?
Oh God, I can't remember. Kandar.
Kantar. I think that's it. Kandar, something like that. Yeah. By the way, Biffer in the chat says Black Adam is the best superhero movie released in 2022.
I've watched it twice, and I'm going to watch it again when I go to Japan next week. So yeah.
Hey, awesome! You're going to Japan?
I am. One of my brothers lives there, so I'm going to see him for the first time in 3 years. So
that'll be fun.
I will watch Black Adam with him again. Yeah.
There you go. I mean, that sounds like fun. I mean, to be fair, what's come out in 2022 that could rival
It's been
it?
abysmal. It's
Exactly.
been what's come out. I'm not even
She-Hulk.
talking about Love and Thunder.
Oh yes, Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder was terrible. I don't know what else was before that. I can't.
Oh, there was something I can't remember. Yeah,
Moon Knight was on.
Gone out of my head
because that's the effect they had. They didn't have a lasting impact. I'm not talking about Marvel movies. I will still be talking about Black Adam this time next year.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. So okay, we get into modern day stuff. Biffer says Black Panther 2 was terrible.
I haven't seen it. I enjoyed Super Pets. I've just seen say Super Pets was terrible. I enjoyed Super Pets.
Okay. I haven't seen that either. I remember it coming out, but I haven't seen it. Nor have I seen Black Panther 2.
No,
it doesn't interest me. How can you have it's Chadwick? Just recast the guy. God damn it! Just recast him. It's what he wanted. It's what he said. I just no, it's not for me. We'll talk about that some other day. But yes, okay. So we get into the modern day stuff, and this is where I feel like the film just becomes really messy. And this is why I think it needs just constant Black Adam explosions to kind of carry the movie. Because we have this weird moment with the van where they're trying to get out of the city to go to the caves to look for stuff, and the kid intercepts the military guy who's trying to search the van, all that kind of stuff. The checkpoint kind of give them a way out of the city without his mom being found and all that kind of stuff. And on paper, I'm like, yeah, this is an interesting idea, but the movie just sort of throws you in and demands that you accept what is in front of you. And I'm sort of like, well, wait a minute. I don't know who this sort of the kind of the terrorist group or whatever that have taken over the country. I don't really know who they are or why they've done it or why they're not letting people out or why the boy's mom wants to go to the caves to find the crown and all that kind of stuff. There was a lot of just sort of you just have to accept it, which I didn't quite like. And I sort of thought about Indiana Jones in the Temple in the first one, the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah. And I'm like, actually, if they cut that really long-winded prologue and just opened up with the I can't remember the character's name, but the kid's mom, the fat guy, and the guy who betrays them.
Her brother, and there's the friend, the one who ends up being chucked off the mountain first.
Yeah. They just opened up with that crew sneaking into the caves looking for something, very Raiders of the Lost Ark sort of thing. Imitation is the best form of flattery, right? So if they had done that and used that moment to sort of establish what we were about to get into, I think it would have been a little bit more interesting. Because once the bad guys just rock up and start shooting people and killing people and trying to arrest them, and then she just happens to fall in the place where she can read the thing to awaken Black Adam. It's all very like it's ultra convenient, and I'm like, well, at least with Raiders,
it's more than coincidence.
Yeah,
I think I can accept that. I think in terms of setup, when we're always looking at that first act. And the first act is all about this setup and an inciting incident. So we have I suppose, I don't even really think we actually have a proper inciting incident. I can't pinpoint to one thing that says this is what sets it off. Because you said we have the prologue, which I don't have an issue with the prologue, but I think you're probably right. What they should have had is between the prologue and then the boy doing his skateboard thing and the checkpoint, there's something explaining like the downfall of the country and how even if you do like a fast forward thing and say this is how we've ended up here, this is how they've ended up taken over the country. I mean, you learn about it, but it's through that annoying little kid mouthing off and his mum. They took over our country. He annoyed me, but it's like,
Very
you
preachy.
took over our country. Yeah, the preachiness I didn't like. So maybe I can accept that they could have had that in the initial setup and explaining why we're here and who, in a sense, who these people are. Because she was, all we know is that they want her. We're like, well, why do they want her? We don't know why they're looking for her. And then you later find out, she's a teacher. So there needs to have been something to establish her importance. And I accept they didn't do that. And then we end up in the mountains. And then they land in the temple. I did like the little switch because obviously they made you think that the one who was asking about her necklace when I was in the van, that guy with the one who died first, they made you think that he was the one who might be untrustworthy. So that was nice how they did that. And then it turned out to be the other guy. But yeah, I think that the initial I think then that initial first that everything leading up to the inciting incident, there wasn't an inciting incident actually established because I don't know what it is. I'm trying to think now. It gets chucked off the mountain. They start shooting people, and then she wakes him up.
Yes. We needed the moment where, as you were saying, where they decide we need to go to the mountain to find X. We think the treasure is here, so let's go do that. And in the course of looking for the treasure, they awaken Black Adam. That's what it should have been.
Because she mentions her grandmother. She mentions her grandmother telling her the story.
I forgot this. What is this?
I watched it again over the weekend. So no, she mentions her grandmother in the truck. Because when the guy's asking her about her necklace and she explains, "Oh, my grandmother gave it to me," or she tells some story. So you're like, okay, so maybe when they go back and do their flashback, there should be some reference to the grandmother, but there isn't. So there's a lot of things. I don't know whether that's just simply an editing thing. So whether it was initially then it just because Warner Brothers likes to interfere because this is pre Discovery purchase. Yeah, this is still Walter Hamada. So who knows what has been taken out for just for entertainment, what I mean, and to cut the runtime. Because there's things that are said and then there's no explanation. Or there's no follow through. There's no follow through. Yes. So I mean, on an entertainment side of it, I mean, I love it, but as a writer, I can appreciate and say, well, no, these are the things that are at fault.
And
but there are things I just always see as a sorry.
No, so that's what always gets me with these movies when I watch them is I struggle with the concept of like turning the brain off stuff. Like I totally agree that the scenes and the action are very entertaining. Like I wasn't bored watching the action scenes. They were fun action scenes. The slow-mo stuff was a little cheesy, and they totally when they wake Shazam up and they do the speed up slow-mo stuff. That's a total rip off of Quicksilver from Days of Future Past. That's a total. We can thank X-Men for this movie.
I didn't. No, but I didn't think that when I saw the slow-mo stuff. Okay, yeah, you can say it's a bit of Quicksilver, but I also saw Snyder in it when he was doing his slow-mo stuff in 300. So I will disagree with you because I don't like Days of Future Past. I enjoy that film.
Awesome.
Like I'll watch it. Yeah, I'll watch it. The road cut is even better. Like I'll watch it 100 times. Yeah, I'd have no problem with that. Yeah. So I can honor the slow-mo reference, but I would also say it's Snyder as well. That's what I saw immediately in the cave. I went, oh no, this is Snyder all day long. This is Snyder.
Yes, no, I agree. Especially in the prologue, there's a very, very, very 300 bit in the prologue when the guy gets stabbed and thrown off of the the side of the mountain. Like that's very 300. Like
that's the Sparta moment. Sparta.
Yes. So I definitely caught that, and that was fine. But it's when he leaves the cave. It's this particular moment. It's when he leaves the cave, and he all of the paramilitary people are outside trying to fight him, and he just sort of kills them all in one go. And there's just very slow. Everyone is, and he does the
Yeah.
Quicksilver thing, and that is the only bit that I'm like, that's where I thought this is X-Men. But yes, there's a lot of Snyder. There's a lot of Snyder in here.
It's an amalgamation of the two. But then I think, like, now in this time of making movies, and how else are you going to show someone moving at the faster than the speed of light?
I mean,
actually, I don't think it's like, unless you slow it down. I mean, Justice League did it well. I liked how Justice League did it with the Flash.
I admit that, yes, in the Snyder cut, that Flash slow-mo time travel thingy was pretty cool to see. I will hold my hand up to that. I did like that.
Thank you. I just have a list of things I'm going to get Luke to agree to.
All right, what's the next one? What's the next one you want me to agree to?
Oh, that's it. We just have to wait and see. I'm just going to wait and see what comes up. Okay. And I'll be that's what I'm going to get you to agree to.
So okay, those are my initial problems with that opening bit. I think it's all like I said, on paper, it's like someone was shooting the beat outline. Like, here's what needs to happen without fleshing those beats out. And I think that is what makes Carter Hall and Dr. Fate and the other two pointless characters, superheroes, it really holds them back, I think. Because
Cyclone and Atom Smasher. That's what
Cyclone and fake Deadpool. Yes. He looked like Deadpool, and he tried to be funny like Deadpool, and he wasn't. Atom Smasher.
All I would say,
terrible.
All I would say about Atom Smasher is that he was created way before Deadpool, even his costume. So, in comic book lore, so that's all I will say.
I'd have to go back and look at the two, but they made him look very Deadpool-y in the face, and I was like, too Deadpool-y. But what did you think of Atom Smasher? We'll go with the small players first.
I know a lot of people have been like, I don't see the point of them. I don't see the point of them. I can understand why they were part of the team and understand their roles being minimal because they're new to the team. They're not established in that JSA world. They're not as established as Dr. Fate and Hawkman. Yeah. Well, I mean, what I appreciate is that you didn't get 15 minutes of backstory about Atom Smasher and 15 minutes of backstory about Cyclone. But because I don't really think you always need that. I mean, all you needed to know from Atom Smasher was what he said. He inherited the powers from his uncle. He's got his uncle's suit, and you see his uncle. Is it Henry Winkler?
Yes.
You see him. You see the Fonz. I still call him the Fonz. You see Henry Winkler. Yeah. You see him. So his backstory is established very, very quickly, and I have no problem with that being done. So I think for me, having them, and Cyclone. And this is like, if I put my comic book brain on, I know that Cyclone she's Red Tornado's granddaughter in the comics.
Right.
Which is another, so if you know, you know. Yeah. But I don't know how you're going to be able to introduce that into the Black Adam film without having a very, very long backstory. So, but for me, for the characters, I didn't mind them because, they're minor, they're introductory, and you can probably tell they're probably setting them up for something else later on.
True.
Whether it's their own movie or.
But let me see this. Do you think they were characters? Now, I'm gonna keep using X-Men as an example because X-Men is the best superhero movie of all time. Or we'll think about X-Men 2, right? No, we'll go with X-Men 1.
Yeah.
Because they set up Rogue perfectly in X-Men 1. Even though she's not the best version of Rogue, their version of Rogue is set up fine. Right? You see her as a kid. She messes, she's kissing her boyfriend. Her powers trigger. She puts him in a coma. And then she's a runaway. Then she meets Logan while she's on the road, right?
Yeah.
And then through these two people, we come into contact with the X-Men. And so they establish it really, really quick. The pacing with that is good, and they tell you enough. I don't need, and like when the other X-Men come in, like I love that moment where all of the X-Men come into the room where Wolverine is chatting with Xavier, and he just sort of runs down what they do, right? And you accept it, and it's fine. So I don't need explanations for how they got their powers or why they're on the team.
Mhm.
But as characters in a story, I don't know who he is. And I really don't know who. What's the tornado girl's name again? Twist and
Cyclone.
Shout?
You don't
Cyclone?
twist up. No, don't be rude. It's Cyclone.
Yes. Cyclone. Yes. I was like, are they characters? And I'm like, I don't think they gave them enough to do to be anything other than just sort of kind of
No,
cotton
they
candy.
didn't. They weren't strong enough to be backup, if that makes sense, because they can't do the job on their own. So they are the support act. So I think within the film itself, I don't think they are given enough to do or enough to even. I said to fully establish who they are and how they fit in the team, or even or even why Hawkman chose them.
Yes, there needs to be something.
I think there needs to be, and I think as a writer, this is what I think is that's the problem with Black Adam, because you know what you said before, it's just like they've just hitting all the beats, and to me it's how I do my outlines for when I first planned my book. I just literally have beats. I don't have detailed outline. It's like point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4, point 5, and that's how Black Adam is set out. I don't think the characters are pointless. Those two, I think there's a point to them, but it needed to be firmly established.
Yes,
and made them and fleshed them out a bit more, because also we know that Cyclone's really smart, and because she's basically healing. Is it the boy she does?
No, the fat guy.
No, the brother.
Am I allowed to say fat? Am I allowed to call people fat? Sorry,
I can't remember his name, but the brother. Yeah, when she's healing him, and so she's super intelligent. So I think those little factors of them, they're not made as 3-dimensional. Yeah, so they're not fleshed out in that respect. But I think they've established them for a later.
I mean, you mentioned actually
whatever the plan is for the DC.
Yeah, you've hit something I think would have been really good, and basically Atom Smasher and Cyclone. I really want to call her Twist and Shout now, but I won't.
No.
They needed something to prove their worth to be there, and I think Cyclone would have been really well utilized had they done something that jeopardized the life of the boy. And we can see her bring someone back, right? That could have been, or the mom, maybe the mom, because Shazam needs to be there, not Shazam, but Black Adam needs to be the one to save the boy because of what they've done with him. So maybe the mom, maybe something happens to the mom and she is able to use her genius, and then you say, oh, this is why she's on the team, because she can do her tornado stuff, but also she can do this.
I think that's the thing that's missing. It's proper context. The characters and their position on the team. I was just thinking of did you ever watch the Young Justice cartoons?
Long time ago. I don't remember them very well, but I remember them.
Well, the Young Justice cartoons. So you'd have like Wally West, and you'd have Artemis, who is Green Arrow's niece, and so you got the younger version of the characters, and there's always some point where they want to be part of the larger Justice League, and so even if you had something within Black Adam where they want to be part of the team and the reasons why they want to be part of the team, that would have established them more firmly as characters. So I think I feel like there's things. I don't know what went on in that editing room. I just feel like there's things missing that they cut.
That is interesting. I like thinking about that. I think there could be something to that. There might be more to this film that was lost on the editing floor because they just wanted to keep it. It is a firm 2 hours. And I also noticed as well, like it is bang on. It is bang on the 1 hour mark where Shazam has his turn. Where he decides to start helping them. Like it is literally bang on 1 hour. And it's like, okay, so you had your first hour of Shazam being all destructive, and then you are like, you have to have it right then so that the last hour can be the good guys defeating the real villain of the story. So it did feel very edited by the numbers. Phil's in the chat. Hi, Phil. Phil
asked,
how does Black Adam relate to Shazam? I'll let you answer that, Nadine.
Oh, okay. So in the comics, no. So basically, God, even know how I can even explain it. So Shazam and Black Adam both get their powers from the wizards. Okay, so and the wizards give to Shazam the power of 7 gods. I can't remember what the 7 gods are. And then basically Black Adam is kind of the reverse of that. He also gets the powers of the 7 gods, but they're kind of Black Adam is Shazam's nemesis. So Black Adam is always trying to kill Shazam, so he can be the one that's all powerful, all knowing, do supreme. I am a god. No one else can defeat me. So that's basically they basically share the same powers, but in reverse. But the thing is, Black Adam has no respect for Shazam because Shazam is a 10-year-old boy who shouts Shazam and turns into this into this god. But the thing of Shazam, he still has the mentality of a 10-year-old boy. He literally is a child in a god's body. And Black Adam has absolutely no respect for him in that regard, which is why it's always so hilarious when Shazam does beat him on occasions, because that's not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it's so bad that I think in one of the cartoons that they did, Black Adam would rather like kill himself, shout out Shazam, and kill himself, as instead of having Shazam, Billy Batson, kill him.
Yeah. Yes.
Be responsible for his demise, or Superman be responsible for his demise. It's all about pride with him.
Yes.
So
yes. thinking about this movie in relation to other DC movies, I think there were almost elements of it that I think felt a little bit too Suicide Squad. Not the Suicide Squad, but Suicide Squad.
The first one. Suicide. Okay, David Ayer's one. Ayer's is
David Ayer, yes. And what I mean by that is particularly the moment where I don't really like the DC trend of Amanda Waller turning up just so we can have a roster call. Because
and
we didn't need it.
No, we don't need it. And I think that I don't know where Black Adam was going initially before they decided to do the reshoot. Because obviously the reshoot is it has to be Amanda Waller coming in, and it has to be you know when they bring Black Adam down to the underwater prison, and one of her team who's in Peacemaker and is in James Gunn's Suicide Squad comes out and they take.
Oh, what she? I haven't seen Peacemaker.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so she's there. So that's the link they're making, and for me, it's I love Amanda Waller as a character, but for me, I think they're messing about with her position within the DC universe, because within the DC universe, she's in charge of the Suicide Squad.
Right.
She's not there to be helping anyone out. You're there to help. Yeah, you're not there. And she wouldn't be going to the Justice Society of America. That's not her call.
She's not Team Superman.
She's not Team Superman. She would be, I'm going to get my Suicide Squad. I'm getting Task Force X, whatever they are, and they're going to take out Black Adam. She will not be going to the Justice Society. So that is my issue with her. They're messing about with her roles, which is what annoyed me. It really annoyed me in James Gunn's Suicide Squad when her team, when I think one of them punched her, and I was like, there's no way. If that was real Amanda Waller and the real Suicide, they would be dead. This is what she did in Ayer's Suicide Squad. She shot the whole team in the room. That's Amanda Waller. So for me, I don't like how they're not softening her, but making her more acceptable making her approachable. I don't like that. But in terms, but they bring her in because they're trying to find a link. And reality is, you don't need Amanda Waller in that situation. Situation is just, you have a threat, this is how it always works in the comics. You have a threat, which is Black Adam. Who's going to deal with that threat? It's either going to be a member of the Justice League or the member of the Justice Society, whatever it is, but it's not going to be the Suicide Squad unless that's a completely separate story. So how they, her calling Hawkman, that being the middleman, I'm like, that doesn't work. It may work with people who don't know, but that doesn't work with me as a DC fan.
No, I agree. I think definitely for people who don't know, they'll be like, oh yeah, she was in that other movie and that other movie and that other movie.
Yeah.
But if you know, and I think there's a tightrope balance with this stuff. Like, you want to make it approachable to general audiences, but you also want to keep the comic book fans happy, which is why I
Yeah.
think the X-Men movies are some of the best, because they toe the line. The first two X movies toe the line really well of being decent adaptations that don't follow the comics, but followed enough to keep the comic book people happy, I think, in my opinion. But Waller turning her into some sort of quasi Nick Fury just doesn't
Yeah.
feel right.
No, it didn't feel right. You know, when she was at her best, she was at her best in the first Suicide Squad movie, it's Suicide
Yes.
Squad, because that is the point of her.
Yes.
She's at her best in the end credit of the Suicide Squad when she meets up with Bruce Wayne, and and you think, well, whatever their meeting is, it's nothing to do with him being Batman. And then she says, "Stop working nights." And you're like, "Oh my god, she knows." So you know, in those moments, she's excellent. But and Suicide Squad movies, that's her thing. But I think when you start involving her in the hero element of it, and you make her part of when you make her part of the hero's journey, that's when it becomes frustrating for me as a comic book fan. I'm like, she doesn't. It's nice to see her. I like to see her, but I don't, because especially Viola Davis, because she's brilliant. But I don't need. She doesn't need to be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Carter and Dr. Fate. They could have spoken. They could have had Batman coming in. That would have been better, because you know I cannot get out here. But yeah, I'm busy in Gotham. I need you to deal with this.
Yes,
that's how they could have dealt with it.
The idea of there just being two organizations. I don't know if did you ever watch Smallville? I can't remember if I've asked you this. I love Smallville, and I bring it up every.
Yeah, you have. And you have asked me, and I've said I've watched like a couple of seasons.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm not a. Yeah,
that's fine. Go back and rewatch it, and you'll love it. So in Smallville, they actually have the Justice Society of America be an existing team already, even though Clark, because at some point in the show, as the show progresses, they start toying with the idea of there's sort of always been superheroes around, but way back in the day, and so they've sort of been kept secret and hidden and been in the shadows most of the time. No, not a lot of people know about them, sort of thing. To sort of explain why, why there's not more awareness, and why you can kind of explain all the weird stuff happening in Smallville and people finding it strange, right? So what I really liked about this idea, though, is I like the fact that you have these two organizations. You have what will become the Justice League, that's kind of being foreshadowed in Smallville, while the fact is there's the Justice Society of America that already exists, and they don't have to be connected. They don't have to communicate, right? And I would have been perfectly fine with this movie just using the Justice Society, right? They didn't want to add that America to it, which I thought was really funny. The whole movie, they keep avoiding the A bit of that. They're like, we're the Justice Society.
It's funny because I've got a massive canvas print on my living room wall, and it's the Justice League of America. So Justice Society of America. So every time I look at it, and I was watching Black Adam, I'm like, it's the JSA. That's why I said it's the JSA earlier. And I think, as well as what you're saying is right. That's, for me as a comic book fan, DC fan, that's what I find frustrating, is because I know within the DC universe there are these established leagues. So you've got the JSA, you even got the Golden Age Justice Society, and then you've got then you've got the Justice League, then you've got Teen Titans, then you've got the Young Justice. You've got so many different units, and I don't understand. And this is the frustrating thing with DC when it comes to their movies, not their TV series, because if you've ever watched Stargirl, even though they've cancelled it now, so there's 3 seasons, but it sets up the JSA and establishes that the JSA was existing way back when. So you know what the foundation is, which is it's done in a really good way. But what I find frustrating about whoever was in charge of DC movies is that it's like they're too scared to stick to their comics. They're too scared to. It's like they feel like they have to fit into this Marvel template that's been molded since I don't know when Iron Man came out, 2010. Like that's what we have to fit into. or 2008. God, and
Yeah.
my thing is that no, you don't have to. DC's established itself as a comic for what, over 80 years, probably longer than
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing when it comes to their animated movies. Their animated movies
Yeah.
are brilliant. They know
They
what
are
they're
good.
doing with their live action series, whether it's Smallville, whether it was the first Flash in 1990s. I think,
Yeah.
I was watching
Yeah.
it when I was
Yeah.
back in school.
Yeah.
Even Superman and Lois, they're
Yeah.
well established and they're confident with what they're doing with their series. And I just don't
Yeah.
understand what happens when it comes to their movies. Like Watchmen was brilliant. Some people, if they don't know, they don't realize it's a DC.
Yes.
MSP
The
came from.
movie,
But
right?
Watchmen,
Not the show, right?
yeah, no, not
Yeah.
the show. I wasn't a
Yeah.
great
Okay.
fan of the show, but
No, show
yeah,
was
but
great.
Watchmen the movie was brilliant.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you let a director just do what they want.
Yes.
Then you get a good movie. Snyder Cut is a million times better. I will never watch a Just Whedon mashup of Justice League again.
No.
Ever.
Oh boy.
But let a director do what they want. You get a coherent and a consistent movie. So I don't understand why they let this panic sit in and be like, oh no, we need to hit $1 billion, so we need to make it like Marvel. Like, you don't need to make it like Marvel. Black Adam can work. If they, all those things that we say are missing, if you put them in and if you give a larger explanation for things, you add more context. I don't think I don't think there's many people who walked out. I say walked out, they were watching it in their front rooms. No one left their front room after watching 4 hours of the Snyder Cut and go, that was a complete waste of time of my 4 hours of my life. Even I know you're raising your head. Even
no.
There's a Guardian critic, Peter Bradshaw, who normally just slags everything. Everything DC is like 2 stars or 1 star. Like, if he rates anything above 3, you're like, there's something wrong with him. And I remember reading his review of Justice League, the Snyder Cut, and he gave it 4 stars. And I was like, what has happened?
This guy? Yeah.
This guy? He liked it. But again, I think it's because the director, they had freedom and they were able to do what they want. They made a consistent movie. No one sitting in a boardroom who has no idea about anything interfered with it. And I think that's the problem. That's DC's problem. Someone needs to be comfortable with letting go. Like, we'll deal with the books, we'll deal with the business side of it, we'll deal with the money.
Yeah.
You just make a film.
And actually,
I think
when you think,
when
you think about the movies where they have done that, it has been very successful. The Joker was a hit. The Batman was a hit. The first Wonder Woman movie was a hit. Anytime there's this sudden interference, Justice League, Suicide Squad,
David Ayers, Suicide Squad,
this even Black Adam. Anytime there's this panic stuff, it falls down. It crumbles because it's probably a problem of too many cooks in the kitchen, and executives, producers are probably going in and looking and saying, oh, we need more action. Everyone wants to see action. And realistically, you want your big action moments, but you want your action moments to be meaningful. You don't just want to be watching pointless nonstop action. You actually want to invest in the characters. And I think that's my overall complaint with Black Adam is, while it's entertaining, I was starved for characterization. I was starved for real characters. They were all sort of half-baked, right? And it's a decent half bake, but it's
I feel like if you're watching them, if this was a mini series, we've missed the episodes where they've given us the background to Hawkman, and they've given us the background to Dr. Fate, and they've given us the background to everyone else. I think we've started at episode 4 on Netflix instead of realizing we should have watched 3 episodes prior. I think that you can see things in that respect, because those who know, that Hawkman's basically been around for not donkey's years. He's from another planet. He keeps being reincarnated. Hawk Girl's out there somewhere. They don't mention her, but we know Hawk Girl's out there somewhere. And Hawkman, he says that Dr. Fate has godlike powers, and they mention the helmet being from another planet, but that's it. So I think what's missing, I can enjoy Black Adam, and I will watch Black Adam again. I've got no issue watching Black Adam again. But I can appreciate that you want more development. For those who don't know, see, for me, I can fill in the gap, which is probably why I can enjoy it. But for those who don't know, they need to have some kind of foundation as to where these characters are coming from. Because Hawkman's background is amazing.
He's
been recreated a million times.
Yeah, my first sort of real deep dive into Hawkman did happen because of Smallville. They brought him into Smallville for like a season or so, and he was awesome in Smallville. And so I was excited to see like his story done on a proper budget, right?
Yeah.
And so then when they turn up and we basically go to the X-Men mansion, and then they go and get in the Blackbird that's, you know, underneath the, you know, literally just
I
like
will not
X-Men.
accept any of this.
I will not
accept that. But...
It's just like X-Men. They even come out of the backyard just like
Where
X-Men.
else are they gonna come out from?
Just have a hangar bay.
Car park.
Just have a hangar bay. It's fine. Does he need to have a mansion? Like, do they need to be operating out of a mansion that?
I think that's the problem with there not being context. If you've established that Hawkman Carter's been around for beyond centuries and centuries, and he keeps coming back, then his work, in a sense, makes sense. You know, Dr. Fate being more than 100 years old and having godlike powers, if you give the foundation to him, which is why I feel there's bits missing from the film.
Maybe.
And that's what DC has done, with the exception of, you said, the Joker, the exception of Man of Steel, even Batman and Superman, and Wonder Woman. Before they start, the executives, Hamada and all them lot, start digging in and messing about. You know, there was context. You understood why characters were there and what was going on. But with these later ones, someone's clearly interfered. I think probably Dwayne Johnson had a lot. I think he probably had a lot of fights on his hands.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. Because I think that's what I think the last thing that sort of bummed me out before I talk about the most funny bit was that I wanted to believe in Hawkman and Dr. Fate's friendship. And when Dr. Fate sacrifices himself, I wanted badly to believe it, but I didn't. And it's not because of bad actors. But did you believe it because you know the backstory? Because you know the comics?
Believe his sacrifice.
Like the emotion behind it. Did you buy it because of your knowledge of the comics, or because of the film led you to believe that these two are such great friends and we are seeing a really deep, honest friendship? Or are we being told that they have a deep, honest friendship and therefore we have to just accept it?
I think, honestly, that I had to switch off my comic knowledge.
Yeah.
When it came to that part, because in the comics, their friendship is not established like that. Their association isn't as deep and as intimate like that. But I suppose I was told it in the film, so I just went with it.
Yes.
In the film.
Yes.
Even because I know that there's a part. It's only because I watched it again. The part when Hawkman, when he's fighting, God, I can't remember his name now. When he's fighting the demon at the end, and he takes Dr. Fate's helmet and he does the whole illusion trick.
Yes.
And then he says at the end, you know, I learned this from a friend. And I was like, when did he tell you?
Right.
To do that.
Right.
I know so at that moment, in order for that to make sense as someone who's just coming into it for the first time, there needs to have been something established earlier on, which is why I say there's bits missing from that act one. The setup is broken. Because looking back, I was like, when did he tell you how to use the helmet and do illusions and do all that? I know because when he's fighting Black Adam, when Dr. Fate has blocked them off, which I think is brilliant, and I love that whole scene. He's blocked them off; they can't get in, and he's doing the whole illusion thing. And I know he's done it before, but how would you know? How would you know?
Exactly.
Unless, you know, you've been involved somehow and you've had that conversation. So I think that there's lack of context to certain things.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed seeing Dr. Fate because I love.
But no,
Dr.
that's the
Fate
thing.
as a
I
character.
agree. I agree with you. Like it was fun seeing them, and like I said, I don't watch these scenes and think, oh, this scene is a bad scene per se. But I'm just like, as we keep saying, so much context was missing. Like, and this is why I think, you know what, you either trim down or cut or rework that very long opening prologue, and you trim and you cut down and you rework the very. I mean, the last most of the film is fighting. It's 2 hours long, and I'm sure probably
I don't have a problem with that. I can watch 2 hours of people fight.
I only have a problem with it if we're not getting character stuff out of the fights.
Yeah.
And I think if it had been restructured so that we were establishing, the first act establishes all of the wants and the needs of all of our characters, right? And sets up the dilemma, right? And then we see them, how they react to attempting to get what they want, and then, needing to learn to work together. And then at the end of the third act, they have to finally do the right thing and defeat the bad guy, which is essentially what happens, but it's happening without much character growth. We're just sort of...
Do you know what I think? What I think the problem is? The problem is, I think, because they changed. There's literally no need for the mother and the son characters.
There really isn't
in that film. No,
it's not.
I know they're established, like later on in Black Adam's story. Those characters, the mother and that her son character, they have there's a point to them, as a purpose. But in the initial origin comic, the New 52 version, they're not involved there. So it's this whole, like, that paramilitary group in the film. Yeah, it's like they're the ones who essentially wake up Black Adam, and then obviously then it merges with the whole Shazam. Well, because Shazam's been created, and then Black Adam becomes aware of Shazam. So I think the problem is that mother and son, they kind of create, they destabilize the story.
They do,
because there's really no need for them. It would have made more sense not have them there, to have that paramilitary whatever group they are. And I can't for life remember what she calls them, but have them be the ones who wake up Black Adam, because then the threat is greater. Yes, and it's because not just Black Adam. Oh, I need to look after the boy. Right, because here's the boy. It's a pain in the ass.
He really is. He really is annoying. Every time I'm like, oh, you dumb kid. There's two things with that. A, I didn't like the in-universe DC Comics stuff. I thought that was hokey.
That's not the first time they've done that, though. I can't remember which film. No, it's not. It's not the first time they've made reference. They've included comics in the film. For the life of me, I cannot remember which one it is. But that didn't surprise me. Even in Shazam, in the Shazam film, when he's fighting in the mall, and he goes to the toy bit, and then you see Batman toys lined up. So that all of that doesn't surprise me. I mean, I didn't mind it. I liked when he was fighting Hawkman in the bedroom, and then he was smashing Aquaman. And if you notice, destroyed Superman, destroyed Wonder Woman. The only one who survived was the little Batman toy. Yes. I noticed that. It felt very pointed, look at us destroying all of your other movies. Look, we're destroying. Yeah, there was Batman prep time. Yep. Something being said there with that scene. I sometimes I like it and sometimes I don't. It just felt a little... I'm sort of like, would Batman have posters and action figures? No one's meant to see him. No, but I think that, well, there is that, but I think that's also the problem with Black Adam as a film. It's you either make him very, very dark, R-rated, right, Jokerish, or he's fully immersed in Shazam's world. Yeah. So I think the reason why Shazam works as a movie, I know some people don't like Shazam as a movie, but I'm like, it had a clear focus. It had a clear. It was aimed at a clear group. And I've always said the Shazam movie it's literally panel, with the exception of the Black Adam storyline, it's panel for panel for panel from the New 52 comic. And in a sense, that's why it also works. It's a consistent movie. It makes sense. There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end. There's motivation. Billy Baxton's mum is an absolute... She's not a nice woman. When you realise he wasn't lost, she left him.
Right.
So, Shazam works because it has a clear target audience.
Yes.
I think Black Adam is always going to suffer a bit because he is the worst of the worst. But how can you effectively portray him if you're trying to still keep it PG?
Yeah.
That makes sense. So in a sense,
so
I don't know how it's even going to work with Shazam in the Shazam movie.
Yeah. I think they will, given that it's The Rock and they're not going to make him a villain, they're not going to make Black Adam a proper bad guy. They will tone him down to keep him,
Yeah, I think that's the frustrating thing. That's what I said earlier. It's like, don't tone him down. Leave him as he is. He's Black Adam. He's not a hero. He tells you he's not a hero, which means he can. I know do have this whole anti-hero thing, but he's a villain, right? He does not care. When you watch the Injustice comic books and you read all of those, he has a clearly defined role. He's not there, well, I'm just going to be a little bit of this and a little bit of that. He's clearly who he is, and he doesn't apologize for what he is. So and this is what I said earlier, when they set out, their intention was always to tone him down. And that immediately got my back up. But I said I watched the movie and I enjoyed the movie. Yeah. I'm reading a question in the comments.
Okay, which one?
Was it a question? Stuart Jones.
I'll let you read. Stewards. He says, "Hey guys, I enjoyed Black Adam the movie. Got to be the best super movie this year. For me, to be honest, Black Panther 2 was all right. Good send off for Chadwick, but that was about it for me. Great show, guys." And then Stewart also says, those old execs at DCWB didn't have a clue what they were doing with the DC characters or the movies. Everything doesn't need to be like a Marvel film. I agree. And I was going to say that when we were mentioning Amanda Waller stuff. Don't include her. Just let the movie stand on its own.
Let Amanda be Amanda Waller. Let Amanda Waller do what Amanda Waller does in the Suicide Squad. Yes. And when she does become involved in, whether it's I'm going to call it the JSA, because that's what they are. Whether it's the Justice Society of America, when she does turn up in the Justice League, it's because she's a threat, not because she's trying to want, you're supposed to be working together.
Yes.
Which is why I liked her little cameo, Bruce Wayne's cameo in Suicide Squad. Yes. It's a threat, and he establishes the parameters. There's no relationship. Yes. I will come for you, is what he says.
Hashtag release the Ayer cut.
Yeah, he follows me on Twitter. I'm very happy about that.
Oh, does he? Oh, that's good. That's good. Be like, hey, buddy. So the other thing that was... Go on.
I was going to say, maybe he'll send me a link to
there you go. Like, oh, here it is. I've assembled it. Don't show anybody, Nadine, but here it is.
I would never show
the last thing, and this links in with the problem of like no setup and kind of lack of characterization, is the bad guy. What a joke. Oh. It's literally the devil from South Park as the bad guy. He looks exactly like the devil from South Park.
I will not accept that. I will not accept that. I will not accept that.
Very Tarantino of you. I reject your hypothesis.
I will not. Yeah, I reject it in its entirety. I reject your submission. That's the lawyer part of me coming out. He was set up very well. Some people were like, I don't know where he came from. No, you know where he came from. He was the guy, and the guy, I can't remember his name, but he explained his lineage. So, there's an explanation. He doesn't come out. He doesn't come out of nowhere. And then you saw like the demons. He did not. The demons down below gave him his powers.
But hang on. Okay, let's track this back to the beginning. So yes, he's in the van with the mom. Her name is Adriana, right? In the van with Adriana, going to the mountain to find the stuff, right? We already don't know who they are and why they're going there, right? We just know that they're going there. And I mean, because then it like weirdly turns out that what's the bad guy's name? Ishmael. It turns out that Ishmael is connected with the paramilitary group. So why does he even have to bother sneaking out? Why, like, that doesn't make any sense.
No, but that's because they've messed with the origin story from the comics. And that's because you've got this whole mother and son thing in there. If they went in there, him being the paramilitary group could easily have gone into the temple and really, because that was always their intention. They knew there was something buried there. It wasn't about this crown or
so why couldn't they
the metal that I can't even remember. So I think that
Eternium or something like that.
Yeah, it's the mother and son which is the problem.
Yes, but it's still a problem in the movie because
in the movie,
mainly because, like, if the movie had started out with, if the paramilitary group, they know there's something there, she's an archaeologist and they need her for translation purposes, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like there you have a setup. Like there's your inciting incident. They found some stuff. They need an archaeologist. They're going to force her to be that archaeologist. Then they take her and her son is upset. Then there you go. But the sneaking around stuff like didn't work. But even in those early scenes, we don't really get a sense of who he is, like, other than just being bad guy, like. And then his very long-winded explanation as to why he's bad guy, because he is the last surviving person in this long lineage, right? Like, there could have been so much more made out of him. They could have tried to make us empathize or be sympathetic with him, but they don't. Because what's weird as well with this movie is they toy with concepts that they don't really follow through on. And one is the whole idea that Shazam, Black Adam's son, was worshipped and brought peace to this, like, was being, it was heralded some sort of god to them, right? Yeah. And everyone's doing the whole, like, triangle thing, right? And there's this prophecy that one day he'll come back to save them and things like that. But if he had already saved them in the past, and then his dad is the one who goes and kills the king. It's like, well, wait a minute. I thought he was the hero of the people. I thought he'd already, like, sorted the problem. So why?
But I think that's why you understand when I say I feel like there's bits missing. Because unless I've missed it. Yeah, unless I've missed it, I don't remember his departure being explained. Even though we know it's because the gods imprisoned him. But then saying that, the mum, whatever the name is it Adriana?
Adriana,
she says they're going to his tomb. So in order to go to someone's tomb, there's got to believe that they died under natural causes, sort of thing. So why are you going there?
Yeah.
That's what there's things I appreciate. There are things that are missed out.
Also, if Shazam, if Black Adam was imprisoned because the Wizard's like, okay, you're a nut job, we're gonna imprison you. Well, why did that stop the line of the kings then? The king's lineage just should have continued.
But it did continue.
Well, they didn't. No, because Ishmael. No, they. Why did they not continue being rulers of the nation? Once Black Adam is out of the picture, there's no reason for the lineage to then just resume power over the country.
I don't have an explanation for that, which is what goes back to my original thing of there's stuff missing.
Yeah. So,
but again, it was also go on.
No, go on.
No, I was going to say, and also I think that's the not a problem, but if you go back to Black Adam's New 52 origin story, it's a very, very small segment within the Shazam story. It's like a couple of pages, and it's interwoven within Shazam, within the Shazam comic. It's not an entire series. The Black Adam origin story, it's never been like 12 issues.
Right.
So in a sense, you are always you kind of pick things up when he rocks up in the middle of whatever disasters going on. But I don't know. So I don't know whether it's down to writing or whether it's just down to editing. Or I think it's probably going to be. I don't know. I hesitate to say it's writing because I like to think writers, they put context to things. I like to think that.
I would like to think that as well, but there's a lot of bad writers out there. I'm fine to say it. I'm fine to say it. I'll say it.
That is true. There are a lot of bad writers. I'm putting it down to Walter Hamada and his involvement.
To who? Sorry,
because he was still Walter. Is it Hamada or Hamada from the Warner Brothers executive board?
Oh, right.
The ones who are interfering all the time. The ones who messed up, who said Justice League has to be 90 minutes. Yes. It can't be any longer than that, which is why you got that. And no, it's too dark. You can't have dark side. You can't have a head being chopped off.
Ridiculous. And then, but then you have the problem of like Wonder Woman, where Wonder Woman 2 rather was a total mess.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to that. And this is frustrating because we can talk about but we can talk about DC on a whole. It's like how, and this is when it becomes into like Henry Cavill. How can you have Man of Steel? I can't tell you how many times I've watched Man of Steel because I do not know. If it's on, I will watch it. Right. So how can you have Man of Steel?
Yes.
That's based long and short of it. It's like if it's on, I'd watch it. So how can you have Man of Steel? No matter what your feelings are about Batman and Superman, but you had Batman and Superman, the Ultimate Edition, not the theatrical cut. And then you have Wonder Woman. So you set up this Trinity. You set up the Trinity. And then for some reason, oh my God, we haven't made $1 billion. Oh my God, the critics weren't in love with it, even though, I don't agree with Rotten Tomatoes, but you look at audience scores and Rotten Tomatoes, the audience loves it, which I think it should be your main priority, not what a bunch of critics say about it.
Yeah.
And then you have that, and then everything. Yeah, I'm like, make the films for me. Don't make it for Peter Bradshaw.
What I mean by that, let me clarify. Let me just before you let me clarify. I think there is a systemic problem with reviewers. Professional reviewers do not know how to review anymore, and too many professional reviewers are in the pockets of the big companies. So therefore, I think that's a problem. That's why you get these. It doesn't make sense why the audience score is huge and the critic score that's why, in my opinion.
I think the audience score for Black Adam's like 90%, and then I think the critics probably giving it 30. I mean, this is Rotten Tomatoes.
It's 39. It's 39 on Rotten Tomatoes. 89 audience.
It doesn't it doesn't tally. It doesn't make any sense. But as I said, I don't understand. I literally don't understand how you can have those three. I say those three movies. And then do a complete it's not even a 360, it's just a 180 because you just flip. You do a complete 180. And I said, Shazam had its target audience. So Shazam works what it is. And it didn't ever seem like there was much interference with Shazam. Aquaman, I don't know how much they interfered with it, but it seemed quite firmly set. It didn't seem, the story didn't seem like it was interfered with. Like there was context to everything. But then Wonder Woman 84, I liked it when I first watched it. Then I've watched it again and I was like, the Wonder Woman 84 is messy. Yeah. So we don't talk about what's Just Whedon's Justice League is messy. No. What else is after that? Yeah, that's just a mess. What else but then you get stuff. I was gonna say, but then you get stuff like Titans on HBO Max and Pennyworth, which is the most violent thing I've seen on TV. I had to turn away the other day. Honestly, I turned away. But you get that, and this is what I don't understand. It's like you give so much creative freedom to things like Titans and Stargirl and Pennyworth. Yeah. Literally, Pennyworth is in his own universe doing whatever it wants. Yes. But then it comes to the movies, and you have this panic. Yes, and now they're trying to turn things around. We're like, we need to have a Kevin Feige sort of person in charge. Why? I know this is how we ended up with James Gunn, but why? Why do you need to create this mimic of a Marvel universe when DC's firmly established in its comics and its movies and its TV shows and its animated movies? Why do you need to recreate what Marvel did well, but now, in my opinion, they're failing?
Yes. I agree. The interconnectedness is a cheap gimmick that loses its appeal very quickly. I mean, honestly, I remember, you probably remember this as well, like Iron Man 2. People were complaining about Iron Man 2 being nothing but a commercial for the Avengers. And that was Iron Man 2. That means there was only 3 Marvel films at that time. Iron Man, Hulk, and Iron Man 2. And people were like, this was nothing but an Avengers commercial. This is ridiculous.
There must have been Captain America was there before.
Nope, Captain America was the last of the 3 to come out. He came out in 2011. Thor came out in 2010. Iron Man 1 came out in 2010 or 9 or something like 2010. Thor and Captain America came out like 2011. And then but Captain America was the last one before Avengers. And people were complaining then that this is all just like, even then people were complaining about the interconnectedness. It was even then people were like, this is a bit much. This is a commercial for the next thing. I'm sick of the commercial for the next thing. People forget this, but that was the general like vibe people were getting from those movies. And this is the thing that like DC have so far, even though they've been very clunky, they've managed to sort of avoid, is that they do weird things like Joker and the Batman and the Suicide Squad, in which, things are given a chance to just breathe and be their own weird thing, and they're not connected to a wider universe. Even Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, and the first Wonder Woman movie, even though they're all in a a linear sort of story, the Wonder Woman would be the prequel, I suppose. They don't step on each other's toes. Even though I'm not a massive fan of those movies, except for the Wonder Woman. I love the first Wonder Woman movie. I can at least step back and say, well, at least you watch them and they are their own thing. And Easter eggs are subtle. Like there's a Bruce Wayne satellite in Man of Steel. You know what I mean? Like that's fine.
I'm the worst person to spot an Easter egg. You need to literally write Easter egg and put a red dot on it and tell me it is an Easter egg, unless it's blatant.
Yeah,
I am not seeing it, but I don't mind missing an Easter egg. And if I see it later, I'm like, that's cool. And actually, I don't mind it. Like in Snyder Cut, when they're introducing the Flash's story, and you see the truck along the driving along the road, and then obviously that's the one that's gonna cause the accident in the town, and then you have Gardner Fox on the side of the truck. If you know comics, you know he's the one who created Flash. So that Easter egg I got, I was like, I know that one, I know him.
Right.
But others, no, others you'd miss. But I appreciate things like that. Yes. I don't need a big, massive.
We don't need Amanda Waller turning up in every movie to link them all together.
No, and I think that's what, I don't know what Gunn's plan is, because I saw a tweet he did in response to some really bad blog, because there's some terrible blogs out there who know nothing. And they basically said, I think they're saying Henry Cavill hasn't signed a contract, or they're saying something like this. And he was saying, and James Gunn basically said, either someone's lying to you or you're just making this up. No one knows what's going on with DC films other than me and Peter.
Yes. I like that Gunn does that. I like that Gunn responds to these people online.
Yeah, because at the moment it's just me responding to crazy people on Facebook. Where do you get this nonsense from? So I'm just fighting a one-woman battle on my own against these blogs. So I appreciate that, because that's what it comes down to. You get all these rumors, and you're like, well, how do you know? Are you sitting in the executive room with James Gunn and whoever's on the board for DC films? Like, how do you know? You're just making stuff up and speculating. Sometimes there's fun in speculating, but no, this literally has no basis, no foundation. Like another one they said I heard today was, if Black Adam doesn't cross 400 million, there's going to be no sequel. And I'm like, well, how do you know that? Who told you that?
Yes.
I mean, I do think it's a bit odd that they released a digital download, I think today.
Today or something like that. Yeah.
After 31 days and release, I'm like, oh, yes, that's a bit. That is very quick. That's like lockdown, pandemic days.
Yes.
I'm in.
Yeah.
So I do think that's a little bit.
I do think. I mean, I do think there are. I do think there is a problem with box office return. And I think I actually quite like the pandemic days when you could just get something straight away. Like I didn't mind spending 20 pounds on a film to own it and watch it at home, and not have to go to the cinema to see it.
I miss my pick and mix. That's the only thing I missed.
Yes,
I miss getting ripped. I miss getting ripped off. at the counter
Right.
for my
I mean,
picnic.
I do enjoy. Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy the cinema. And my main cinema that I like to go to in Central is the Picture House in Piccadilly
Yeah.
Circus. That's my favorite one there. Otherwise, we go to a little Art Deco cinema near our house that always plays the big movies, but like 3 weeks or 4 weeks after they've been out. So it's like that's great. I'll go see it there. It's 2-minute walk from my house. It's great. But I do think there is. Because because these movies cost so effing much and they're tailored to anticipate $1 billion return.
Yeah.
If they're not getting that, then they have to get it out as much as soon as possible because they're probably needing to dump Black Adam on digital so that they can start getting some more money back. Basically, this is my speculation. So big speculation, but this is what I'm assuming is what's probably happening.
But it's not even out in Japan yet. That's why I'm gonna see. That's why my brother's waiting for me to when I get there. I think it's out on the 2nd.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is like and China's not releasing it. That's the last I heard. I know
there is some China.
Yeah, and China's a big market place. You know, when they make the bulk of their monies, when they're making the billion, a lot of it is coming from releasing it in China. So if it's not hitting $400 million, that's probably the fact that it's not being released in China has got something to do with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think we really have to stop catering to China, but that's my opinion. It's just stop it.
I just think we should just write movies and just let the directors and the writers do what they want and just let the movies fly out in the world and don't interfere.
Tame the budgets. I'm fine with taming the budgets because a lot of the if you think about like there's some movies like the Joker and the original like the first Deadpool movie, they weren't that expensive relatively speaking.
No, I think the Joker was 80 mil.
Yeah,
something like that.
So like you can make. Go on.
No, I was going to say Shazam was between 80 and 100. It wasn't more than that.
Was it not? Was
it 85 million? Yeah, it wasn't expensive. I think it made and it made over 300 mil.
Yeah,
and I don't think they weren't complaining about that, and it got its sequel. So you don't need to spend a stupid amount. I mean, I have no idea how much Black Panther would have cost. Or how much Endgame
that was probably insane. Yeah. But we don't need it. I think people they're so focused on these mega returns, and it's like look, just make smaller budgeted, better quality things like what we used to do in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s. When we actually had constantly summers after summers after summers of good, movies, whereas now we have like summers and summers and summers of forgettable franchise movies.
You remember when there was always a summer blockbuster, and like I can remember my summer blockbusters from my youth. I remember Jurassic Park. I remember Terminator 2. I remember Back to the Future 2.
Yeah.
Those were the things that we're going to the cinema because we need to watch. Mission Impossible, the first Mission Impossible was the summer blockbuster. So I remember that. I can't for the life of. I think maybe Top Gun Maverick might have been
Top Gun Maverick the best film of the year.
I still haven't seen it yet, but
oh my god,
it definitely wasn't Jurassic Park Dominion or whatever that nonsense was called. That was a load of rubbish. Ooh. It definitely wasn't Love and Thunder, which and if you in the scheme of things, the amount of money that's been put into those movies, the amount of promotion that's been put into these movies, these are the movies that should be the blockbusters, and these should be the ones we shouldn't be talking about. We should be talking about Black Adam, but really, you should have done a show on Love and Thunder, as that was the great summer blockbuster. But anyone who's seen Love and Thunder, my brother likes the goats. That's the only thing he will laugh about. The stupid screaming, annoying goats. And everyone's like, yeah, but the goats. Yeah, the goats. But the film is rubbish. I couldn't even enjoy the goats. Because I was like, I don't know why. I don't know. It's a rubbish
I think
film.
I made it 20 minutes into Love and Thunder and was like, I'm done.
Oh, good. Yeah, good. I'm well done for you. Well done for bailing out. But there's, we're not talking about, we're talking about films for like the wrong reason, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like we're talking about them for what's wrong and not working. It's like, as much as I love Black Adam and said I will watch Black Adam, that's going to be one of my favorite films of the year to watch, and I'll watch it again. Yes. I can still accept there are faults in Black Adam, but for me, I can see where those faults, who's responsible for those faults.
Yes.
But as a comic book fan, I love seeing live action Dr. Fate. I loved seeing
of course,
Hawkman in all these action scenes, and Dr. Fate doing what I know Dr. Fate does best.
Yes.
I was like, it's just brilliant. And when he died, I was like, I don't want you to die. I need you to come back because you're just fantastic.
That was surprising. So I was like, is Pierce Brosnan done? Was this a one and done thing? That was
I don't want him to be done. I'd be happy for them to do a flashback. I don't care how they do it. They can do something with Dr. Fate because he was such a good character. And also in the context of the film, there was a point, there was a point to every role he played in the film. There was a point to it. So even when he did die, you're like, I don't want him to, but I can see why and how important he is. And then, when the helmet disappears, you're like, okay, the helmet chooses someone, so who's he going to choose next? So you can kind of see the setup for Dr. Fate. And Hawkman is like, Hawkman's so good. Aldous Hodge plays him. Yeah, Aldous Hodge he was cool. Yeah. So
he was,
his character, his characters are being set up. And I wouldn't be surprised if I saw an Atom Smasher movie. I wouldn't be surprised. But then I can see the target audience for that.
I would be surprised. Only because like I said earlier, that he didn't offer enough. He didn't offer enough in the film to say, "Oh, I want to see a solo movie with him." Right?
Yeah.
They need to do something with him in another movie to make him more interesting before they can remotely consider that. I think.
But that's why I could see it. I could see them saying we'll give it because it has a clear target for that.
Yeah.
Even if you did it as like a flashback, like this is how I got here.
Yeah.
But his backstory makes more sense to me than flaming Ant-Man stealing a costume. At least we know his powers are inherited. I mean, that's the thing I appreciate it. At least it sticks to the script. Whatever background's being formulated in the comics, there is some kind of follow through for those who know. Well, those who don't know, and that's what I appreciate about it.
Yeah, Phil in chat was mentioning in terms of like summer blockbusters. He was like, he remembers going to see X-Men 2, in the cinema, like X-Men, Lord of the Rings. What else was big? All of the Harry Potter movies coming out every 2 years and stuff like that.
They were an event.
Yeah,
that's what they were. I mean, I remember X-Men 2. I just wanted to see Nightcrawler. I'm like, as soon as I see Nightcrawler, so awesome. His entry, that's like one of the best openings of a film ever.
It is.
I have my personal views about the rest of the film, but that's one of the best openings of a film ever. So no, you're right. Earlier they were events, and Avengers was I would say it was an event because I think I'm not going to fault Marvel at all.
That was pretty oversaturation.
Yeah, they set it up, but then after that, everything becomes very formulaic. There's a template, and I don't see why DC feels the need to follow that template when you have you don't need to imitate when you have your own firmly established and something that works very well in all other mediums. So why switch it up? Why go into the panic?
Yes.
Why leave us waiting for Man of Steel 2, 10, 12, however long many years it is?
It's 10 years. Later. It's 10 years next year since Man of Steel.
This is the thing. I came out of Man of Steel with my godson, and I remember the first thing he said to me was like, "Auntie, we need to see it again." Because it was so good. I was like, I need to see it, Man of Steel again. We got it on Blu-ray, did this and did that. And you make us wait 10 years for it.
Yes.
That's a nonsense.
Or it'll be longer because it's not coming out next year. So Superman, Henry Cavill rocks up at the end of Shazam, right? So what do you want to see next from Superman? Because I didn't enjoy Man of Steel as much. Now, I like Henry Cavill as Superman. I don't think Zack Snyder was the best person to do a Superman movie. I'm of the disposition of I don't like the fad of deconstructing superheroes or heroes in general. I think it's boring. I think seeing mopey pouty Superman where Jonathan Kent is saying, maybe you shouldn't have saved those kids. Fuck off. Like, I get the I get what they're trying to do. It's not interesting. It's boring because Superman is an aspirational hero. He's someone who is just inherently good, and he's someone that you want to aspire to be, and his ultra goodness is unattainable, but it's what you try to aspire to be. And I think trying to make a bleak Superman story misses the point of Superman. And I think that's why I think Zack Snyder was the bad person for that job. I think someone else could have done the same story, but injected a little bit more hope. Because that's the thing they keep adding. That's the thing that keeps being adjusted every time we see him. Is he's more hopeful every time. Every time.
I know, but the reason why I'm going to say I don't agree with you entirely. It's like I agree with the whole thing. You know, Superman's supposed to be an aspirational character. You know, he's supposed to symbolize. That's what the S stands for. You know, it stands for hope. That's what he symbolizes. Yeah, and you know, his whole story is, you know, you have Martha and Jonathan Kent who couldn't have children, and you know they want a child, and this child literally falls out of the sky, lands in their laps, and he has powers. I understand that, but if you'd ever read the Earth One, DC did this whole series of Earth One. Comics with Green Lantern, Batman, Superman, and so it's a slight, again, it's a reimagining of the basics are still there. You know, he still comes from Krypton. He still lands on the Kent farm and stuff, but it's slightly darker. Right. It's not all primary colors. There's a darkness to it.
Sure.
And there's a aspect of Superman always seeking something, and then it's a point he's not even sure what it is that he's seeking. And I think because I'd read those, I'm sure it came. Yeah, so I can appreciate Man of Steel, and I didn't mind. I did not mind seeing anything different. I did not need to see what they portrayed in Joss Whedon, but because it needs to be bright. Because also as well, I think that's the response of the critics. The critics are like, well, this is not the Superman that we know, you know, the one version of Superman that we know.
Right.
Because it doesn't fit in with what we've seen from Christopher Reeve, which is Superman I grew up with. We're not going to accept anything else. It's like you can have a different interpretation of the story. And I think they should have allowed, instead of going into panic mode, they should have allowed Zack Snyder to continue.
Maybe. I don't know.
There shouldn't have been this 10-year gap. That's just ridiculous.
No, there shouldn't have been. And I think because it also carries on the bleakness carries on into Batman v Superman, which he's like, no one stays good forever, Lois. I gotta go kill Lex Luthor or whoever he's got to go. Whatever. I gotta go kill Batman.
But you know what I think? What I will say, and I'm being this is not my comic book hat on. This is being very objective. I think the problem is when you throw Superman. Because you haven't put Batman into Superman's world. You've thrown Superman into Batman's world. And when you throw Superman in, this is the thing, when you throw Superman into Batman's world, you do need to show the more hopeful side of Superman. Because that is the dynamics of how it works. And I can accept maybe that was the slight failure. Slight reluctantly. Because they are, you know, they are opposites. Batman is, I have prep time. I know exactly. I can take you out. This is not even a debate. But Superman's is he's the angel on Batman's shoulder. Like, no, maybe we can try a different approach. Spider-Man. Superman only goes bad when Lois dies and injustice starts. But then as well, that whole lead up into Dark Side and Injustice Superman, you're not going to understand that if you don't know the background to it.
Exactly.
In terms of comics. So this is where you're going to have the difficulty. So you're always going to have the critics and the people who've only just seen Superman from Christopher Reeve. That's all they know. When they see that, they're like, well, this doesn't fit with how things are supposed to be. We don't like it. We want it to be normal. And you're like, no, you don't. Just go with it.
I agree.
Because you can enjoy it.
Because I can't not bring Smallville up again. I think Smallville did a really good job of, as you were saying, the journey aspect. So Smallville wasn't all like bright primary colors. Like Clark went through interesting human struggles right? You know, when
Yeah.
Jonathan dies, you know, you get that sense of grief and lost, you know, feelings and stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of incredible emotional arcs in Smallville. That's like, well, this is Superman, but he's going through something. He's going through adolescence. He's growing and learning to be the hero that we will learn
Yeah.
and see. And I didn't mind like Smallville, I don't know Smallville, but I didn't mind the idea of Man of Steel trying to play with that for the big screen. It's just that there's just those moments, these little moments where, you know, Jonathan says his bits or Superman's a little bit too dour, and then followed up, like I said, with Batman v Superman, with him just being the bat is dead. Blah, blah. You know, it's like, oh, come on.
But then I
Smile, Clark.
He does smile. He smiles when he's with Lois in the bath. He smiles, you know.
I was just thinking that's the only scene that came to my mind.
He gets there, but it's more a Batman story, and it's Batman. It's Batman. Like, what the hell have you just done you've destroyed not just my building, and my people that in whatever way he cares about and he supports, and you've destroyed cities, and there's been no respect. And I think that's the thing that bothers Bruce Wayne, the man. And obviously, when you switch to Batman, this is a threat, and I deal with threats. Whether you like the way I deal with it, I deal with threats. And you know, other than Zod in Man of Steel, who is Man of Steel? Who has Superman been dealing with? I don't know what he's been doing with for the past, like working for the government. But that's it. He's been working for the government.
I mean, barely.
Barely in the interlude, between Man of Steel and Batman and
Superman.
He's been working on behalf of whatever division of the military and stuff. So you know, I understand Batman's, Bruce Wayne's vengeance and emotions, and I'm going to take him out. I can appreciate that, and I like that. But I can also see how you needing to show more of Superman's light in that moment. Worked in Batman and Superman. But I don't agree with all these critics. It's too dark. I don't like it. It's too violent. Give me the violence. Give me the darkness.
Oh no, I don't mind darkness. I don't mind violence. I don't mind grittiness. I don't mind any of that. But it's just, I think you want to see the inner light of that character, you know, shining.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I don't know what they're going to do with him now.
What do you want to see? This is our speculation corner. What do you want to see done with Superman?
I want to see him in his own movie, but I don't want to see him fighting Brainiac just yet, because I just feel that's just too obvious. And I think someone like Brainiac, you need to set Brainiac up. Brainiac isn't someone who just pops in and, you know, destroys a city. Brainiac sets things in motions. He's like Darkseid in a sense. Darkseid, you know, he's sending parademons in and Steppenwolf to do his dirty work before he comes in and does it. You know, does the final takeover. So I don't want to see Brainiac. I don't know. It's going to be tricky. You could have I can never pronounce his name, which is the point of it. Mr. Mxyzptlk, the little magician. You could have him. Because then DC kind of get what they want. They can get that lightheartedness with Superman, but also have this threat of this little, whatever he is, whose name you can't pronounce.
Have a toy man.
The little hat. I don't mind seeing him. Sorry, I just don't think you need like a big comic book Brainiac threat just yet. You can have him with something minor.
He needs someone to fight because people want him to fight someone, because that was the biggest criticism of Superman Returns.
Yeah, he could fight this. Oh, Superman Returns was just. I mean, the only good thing about Brandon Roth in Superman playing Superman was when he played Kingdom Come's version of Superman in the comic Arrow series.
Cool. He was cool. Yeah,
It's like he grew into his Superman. Then. Yes. He could fight Bizarro Superman. That would be cool.
That could work. That could maybe work.
But it's the thing. You need. I don't feel you can't just create. Superman doesn't work with magic, so he doesn't need to be involved in Shazam and Black Adam's fight yet. That's
No.
after. He doesn't need to be involved there.
Yes. No, I
Could he
completely
fight?
agree. I'm trying to look and see who else would be interesting. Oh yeah,
See his mates.
Metallo.
Oh yeah,
That, that-
see, he could do. Just say there are characters. There are threats. I was gonna say
yeah,
Amazo. There are characters he could deal with. But
that could-
Brainiac is like a Man of Steel 3 movie. He needs someone
yes,
in the middle.
yes. Because like actually, like one was. I'm trying to. I don't want to constantly keep going back to Smallville, but I'm thinking of like there was a really great moment where like Clark was stuck in the he was stuck in the Phantom Zone for a bit, and when he broke out,
Yeah.
a bunch of phantoms broke loose, and he had to like half the season was hunting these phantoms down and trying to stop them. You know, like I think you could give like a nice some sort of threat along those lines. Maybe I don't know.
So you can have a threat or the parasite threat. I can't remember what the parasite was.
Yeah.
But that's more a Justice League thing.
Yes. But yeah, I it's tricky, but Bizarro could be a cool one. That could be interesting, I think.
I think that would work. Because then you can get away with having a dark, crazy zombie like Superman.
Yeah.
You kind of please both factions.
Yes. Although he hasn't really they didn't really fight Darkseid properly though, did they?
No, which is the thing. I want to see a Justice League 2, Snyder Cut, because you can't have all this set up and then just leave us here. Just leave us. You know, Darkseid's out there. You know, Granny Goodness is out there. Like, which is really frustrating. Oh, but this is really frustrating as well. This is the annoying thing about DC. Why have you got Tom King and Ava, I can't remember her last name, writing a New Gods movie? And you scrap it.
Right. Yes.
And they're like, oh, because they've already, because they've got Darkseid. You're like, well, I don't understand why you can't have these two things work. It doesn't.
Exactly.
Oh, it's like, also as well, I'm like, my answer to everything is multiverses. DC has multiverses. Yes. You could establish it in a different Earth. It doesn't have to be the prime Earth established by Snyder, which is why I feel like you can have different versions of these characters, because one thing that DC does better than Marvel is that they firmly establish how the concept of multiverses work.
Yes.
In their comics.
Yes.
And so taking that aspect of it, there's no reason why, as I say, you've got Batman, Pattinson's Batman existing in the movies. You've got the Joker existing in his own world. You've got who else have you got? Well, then you've got the Snyder. I say the Snyderverse because Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Shazam, Black Adam, they all form part of that same universe. But then you've got the TV, the Titans, they're their own Earth. So there's no reason why you can't just follow through. Yeah,
I think so. You should. Yeah. The more I keep thinking about it, I really like the idea of Bizarro. I think that could be fun.
That's what I said. Let's have Bizarro.
Really creepy Bizarro would be so fun.
Yeah. It's too early. It is far too early for everyone's like Brainiac. No, it's far too early for Brainiac. Have him fight Bizarro, Man of Steel 2, and then you can bring in. And the thing is, when you have Bizarro, you can kind of then you can always have Brainiac coming in as some kind of subplot. You know, you can plant the Easter eggs if you want to do it that way, and you're leading up. And if you are firmly cementing your universe, you can have Bizarro plays into everything.
Yes,
if you want to do it that way.
Yeah, no.
Basically, I need to work for DC films.
Well,
James Gunn needs to hire me.
Exactly. You know, come on, Gunn. Come on. What are you doing?
Gunn, I'm gonna link this. I'm gonna send this to you, James Gunn, and you need to have me on board because, quite frankly, this is a bit of a mess. We need to sort it out.
Speaking of multiverses stuff, a long time ago, I think I might have mentioned this on one of our earlier episodes, but I did a long time ago, like 10 years or so ago, or more actually. I wrote a goofy treatment for like a 1940s Superman movie that was basically Superman versus Doomsday in 1940s. It's like, because I was like, cool. Basically, what I love, I do sort of sometimes wish that they would go back to like the time frame of when these characters
Gold,
were like around, like
you
when
want
they were
gold,
first.
you want
Yeah,
Golden Age.
yeah. I think sometimes it
DC,
could be
yeah.
fun, and I was like, oh, it'd be really fun to see a 1940s, Superman movie, but then like Doomsday, like that would be so cool. So I wrote this little
Well,
treatment about that. I think that could be fun.
Well, be speaking of multiverses, it'd be interesting. Well, it will be interesting to see what
Mm,
they do with the Flash movie, and then you got Blue Beetle movie coming out next year.
yeah, yeah.
I
I
love Blue
have this
Beetle. We'll
feeling.
see.
I have a feeling the Flash movie is. I mean, I guess they're gonna try. I'm surprised that film's even coming out because Ezra Miller is a fucking weirdo. Like I just, I'm not holding
He's
back on this
innocent.
one. He's a bizarre individual.
He's bizarro. He's innocent. Listen, he's innocent until proven guilty. That's the lawyer part of me. That's my disclaimer.
I mean, he has been arrested multiple times for.
A lot of people have been arrested
violence.
multiple times, and they get. Anyway, that's another show.
Yes, that is another show. But yeah, no, I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, it sounds like they've cut back on Keaton, and I think that are they bringing back Ben Affleck for that movie now?
I think what's happened, and people can tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
They cancelled. They just completely scrapped the Batgirl movie, and Michael Keaton's Batman was in the Batgirl.
He was, yeah.
Yeah, and I think there was going to be some link. He was going to be involved in the Flash movie.
Yes.
And unless someone will tell me that I'm wrong, as I understand it, they've scrapped Batgirl, they've taken out Michael Keaton, and whatever they've replaced Michael Keaton with Affleck. Flash movie. And I think that Affleck has got makes some appearance in Aquaman. That's my understanding.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Someone might message and say, no, you've got it completely.
You're in the chat, you know the story. Tell us now, damn it. Tell us now.
But but for me, if you're having a forget Ezra Miller, I'm just talking about the story as a whole. If you're having a Flash movie and you're having a whole Flashpoint movie, having Michael Keaton is not an issue for me. Because if you're going back, that's fine. I'm not even going to say it needs to be exactly like the Flashpoint comic.
No, you can do whatever you want with it. You can toy with it.
Yeah, because that's the whole point. Flash has done Flashpoints numerous times, and that's ends up screwing. That's how everything ends up getting screwed up. every reboot of the DC universe is down to Flash. Yeah, he creates a Flashpoint, and you end up with the New 52.
Yep.
And then at the end of the New 52, you have the Dark Side War. And then it's him again. And Wally West's poor thing is running around, not knowing what's going on. Then you have the whole rebirth unit. It's Flash is the fault. Basically, the Flash screws everything up. Every disaster is down to Flash. He literally is the lightning rod for all of this. But in terms of the movie, you can do everything. It's a Flashpoint. So Michael Keaton appearing in a Flashpoint, I got no issue with that.
Yeah.
But Affleck being in it makes sense because that's the universe that's been firmly established. What I would have liked to have seen, though, if they are doing Flashpoint properly, is to see Thomas Wayne as Batman. If you were to go back, that I would have liked to see.
Yes, that would have been awesome because they had Jeffrey Dean, or is Jeffrey Dean who played Thomas?
Yeah, Wayne. Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He plays the dad. He would have been epic. Yeah. So this is the thing. I just don't understand why DC don't take those steps. It's like,
they kind of squander their talent, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They don't take the risk. And it's like, what realistically, what do you have to lose? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing at all.
You do something big. I think Spider-Man No Way Home proved that you can do wacky stuff and people will come and see it. Because no one went to No Way Home to see Tom Holland because he is terrible. He is not a good Spider-Man. They all were there for Tobey and Andrew. 100%.
I'm not saying my heart leaped when Andrew Garfield stepped through.
Mine did.
And then when Tobey Maguire turned up. But it did something. Yep. And every time they're on the screen, I'm like, yeah, that's it. Tom Holland, I was never not saying he's not a good
No.
actor, but he's not my
What
Spider-Man.
was so funny is I was watching this and we was watching with Claire and when the Marvel actors were acting against the legacy characters, the legacy actors, you know, like
Yeah.
Octavius and Green Goblin, etc. When those people were acting against them, it really felt like, you know, the kids have come with mommy and daddy to work, you know,
This
and
is like
I
this
mean,
is how you do it.
yes,
I
like
watch.
this
I
is
watched.
how Otto Octavius can work and be taken seriously, even though it's absurd, you know. Green Goblin, all that stuff. But then you get like
I,
Ned who's bumbling around. Oh, god damn it.
I watched No Way Home again last weekend because it was just on, so I watched it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was talking about this with a friend of mine, and we're both saying that Willem Dafoe, when he's in Green Goblin mode,
Oh man.
he's scary.
Yes.
Like I believe he's Green Goblin, and I believe he's going to kill every Spider-Man there. He's fantastic. He just puts I think he puts every Marvel Studios villain to shame. Like that's how Willem Dafoe is how you do a villain. A villain that I can believe, I believe in.
Yep.
That's
totally agree. Totally agree. I think I don't think I would add Ian McKellen's Magneto to that list.
Ian McKellen's a great.
I don't think I think Willem Dafoe and Ian McKellen, their portrayals of Magneto and Green Goblin, and I would say Dr. Octopus. I can't remember the guy's name who plays Dr. Octopus now.
Alfred Molina?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
I think those three dudes, I mean, they outshine every MCU villain.
Oh, definitely.
Like, there's a reason why No Way Home had zero villains that Tom Holland had fought. There's a reason there are zero MCU villains in his movie because they all suck.
I'm trying to like I can't even think other than I'm trying to think of like Marvel Studio villains. Like you got Thanos.
Obadiah Stane was probably it peak. Obadiah Stane and Loki are the two best. Obadiah was the bad guy in Iron Man 1 and Loki in Avengers.
That was his uncle, isn't it? Jeff Bridges' character.
Jeff Bridges, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked him.
He was good.
Man. But yeah,
he's a good one.
Every other villain has just been
Yeah. Red Skull, boring. Like, I don't care about the Red Skull. The Frost Giants. Who cares about the Frost Giants?
Oh, the Dark Elves.
The Dark Elves. God.
This is why we need to see Darkseid. Why we need to see Darkseid, and we need to see Granny Goodness. And
I would love to see it.
Desard is just wicked. Desard is pure evil. Desard's like he's mocking poor Steppenwolf.
Right. I mean, given what James Gunn has done, like I enjoy superficially, I enjoy some of Guardians of the Galaxy. I really enjoyed the Suicide Squad. I think James Gunn has a better grasp of storytelling than some of the other, and maybe has more freedom than some of the other Marvel directors. So I'm excited to see what he is going to do, being sort of co-captains, running DC. I would like to think that the next round of films after Black Adam, and I guess, I would like to think the stuff coming next will start to see an improvement. I hope.
Yeah, I've been asked what I think about James Gunn, and I said what I'm doing is separating my opinion on his filmmaking. Because he said, I said before, I don't like him as a director. I just don't. But I think that, him being in charge of DC films, put it that way, that's just a completely different role. And overseeing, not a structure, but overseeing the films. Yeah, and that aspect of it is completely different to being involved in the actual filmmaking, directing a film. So in that respect, I'm thinking, okay, I'm hoping there's objectivity there, and there's a clear purpose there, and it's not just about imposing his style of filmmaking on DC.
Yes.
Because I personally wouldn't like that, but I'm prepared. I mean, I ain't got a choice,
agree.
really. I can't walk into DC Warner Brothers and say, "Listen, mate,
bust the
this
doors
is what
down.
I want
All right,
you to do."
guys.
Yeah, I would love to, but I'm gonna give him the chance. I'm not one of them people like, "Oh my god, I don't want James Gunn being in charge of DC films." I'm like, because being in charge of a film unit is completely different to writing and directing films.
Yeah. Shepherding the creative agenda is very different.
Yeah, it's very different. So I think that he can be objective enough to be like, okay. And also, I think he'll probably be more respectful of a director's interpretation.
Yes, I think one of the biggest problems is that
interfering.
Yes, because I think Kevin Feige is terrible. I think everyone sort of wants to praise Kevin Feige for what he did with Marvel, but it's like, guys, this started with Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau was like top guy all the way through the first Avengers movie. Like, more or less, he was the top guy, right? And then Kevin Feige started to become more and more in front of everything, you know, and now he's just some guy who's in charge of Marvel who has no like creative bone in his body.
No, but now he's become, this makes sense, he's become part of the Marvel story. He's not someone outside of it. He's in it. And you can't separate him from Marvel Studios.
Yeah.
Not anymore. And you can't separate him from the films. Everything has Kevin Feige in it, and I don't think that should be the case. It shouldn't be his stamp.
No.
But then also you've got the problem.
Go on.
No, which is why, and I said it comes down to me being annoyed when everyone thinks this is how things should be done.
Yes.
And then they go and do stupid things like kill Iron Man. You're like, why you can't kill Iron Man? It doesn't make any sense.
Nope. I see Iron Man 1 in the first Hulk movie as like alternate universe. Iron Man 2 onwards is whatever. But I'm like, I have to build my own cinematic universe off of Iron Man 1 and the Hulk.
Yeah. That's my brother would say. It's when Disney gets involved. That's when it all goes to.
Yes.
It goes that way.
Yeah, you could probably find something of mine on the internet from something from way back when Disney took over. I was like, this is the end of Marvel. Like, I'm surprised the quality lasted as long as it did after they took over.
This is the thing about filmmaking as well. It's like what I do enjoy about DC, even though they're a bit messy, but I do enjoy the fact that an Aquaman film is going to be different to a Shazam film. A Shazam film is going to be completely different to a Pattinson Batman film. They're all individual. Like they've got an own individual style, individual take on it, and I appreciate that, and I can enjoy that more. At least I feel like I'm seeing something different, as opposed to, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen in Ant-Man into the what's it called? Whatever
into the Fontanium mind of madness.
We're going to see Kang. I'm like, okay, you're going to see Kang. I want to see Silver Surfer. That's what I want to see. Are you going to bring me Silver Surfer? No.
Right? No, they're too scared to do that. But the last thing I wanted to talk about, because I thought it was really funny, was did you see Tarantino's recent like scathing of Marvel? I loved it.
Can I say, I do not disagree with him.
I don't either.
Because he said, what did he say? He said, there's no movie stars anymore. And that you're not, you can tell me if I've got it wrong, but you're not, when you go and see the movie, you're not going to see a movie star. You're just going to see the character. Yeah. Well, and these movies don't create, they're not movie stars. I'm like, well, you're right. Because listen, when I watch Shang-Chi and the Legend of
Shang-Chi,
Legend of, and I know the actor who plays him, he responded and was like, well, I led a $400 million movie. No one knew who you were. There might be some people.
You didn't, bro.
People weren't going. This is the thing. People are not going to watch the actors. No one was going to watch whatever her name is, who plays Captain Marvel.
Brie Larson.
I can't remember. Yeah, no one's going to see Brie Larson. Doesn't matter that she's won an
No.
Oscar. No one's going to see Brie Larson.
No.
They're going to see Captain Marvel. They're going to see Shang-Chi and the Legend of the 12 Rings.
They're not even going to see Shang-Chi. They're going to see the 10 Rings.
They're going to see the 10 Rings. But they're going to see things that are established in Marvel comic lore. They're not going for the actors. And I don't disagree with Tarantino in that. I don't disagree with him at all. I think he's 100% right. You know, Chris Hemsworth, I only knew of I'll tell you when I knew of Chris Hemsworth. He was in Home and Away, because I remember him. And I remember him, and he was he played in Star Trek. He played the dad.
Yes, he was Kirk's father.
He played Kirk's father in the reboot Star Trek.
Yes.
So he was just starting out. And then, you know, Thor and Avengers, Marvel, they made him into a star.
Yes.
But people were going to see, they weren't even really going to see Robert Downey Jr. Because no, that was his comeback. I was going, oh my God, they're making an Iron Man movie. I'm going to see
Robert Downey Jr. is maybe the closest, is the one I would say transcended the character.
Yeah.
I think. But he's the only one.
That's for sure. He's the only one. But in terms of what Tarantino says about everything, I agree with 100%. And I should get that actor's name correct so I don't get sued for something. The one who played Shang-Chi.
Oh right, Shang-Chi. Yeah. I mean, it's I mean, like, it bums me out because, like, I do miss the days when you would go see you're there because you like the actor. The actor, you're going to see the new Stallone flick. You know, you're going to see the new Tom Cruise movie. You know, like you're going to see the new Harrison Ford movie. Like we recently watched over the weekend. We watched Air Force One, and I was like, God, I miss movies like this. Just it's just straightforward, and it's great, and it's led by a great actor. You know, who's playing the president. It's great. You know,
it's very rare. It's very rare now that you see, other than Tom Cruise, you see
he's
the actor. That's the movie, and then it's the film title.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, now it's just a film, but actors don't. It seems like a really odd thing to say, but actors don't seem to lead movies.
No,
these days, and I'm not saying there isn't some merit in the argument that, you know, all Hollywood cares about is comic book movies, because for the last 15 years, those are the movies that have been made. That's what's been making them money, and you know, they'll bleed it until it's dry. It's the long and the short of it, because as long as it's making it money, they're not gonna move away from something that's making them money until it stops making them money. That's when they move away from it. You'll always have your art house movies. You know, you'll always have your movies that are the Oscar movies. I mean, I don't think any of these films, has anyone been nominated for Best Actor? If they win in Oscars, they've been winning Oscars for... No, they've been winning Oscars. You know, Suicide Squad won an Oscar for hair and makeup.
That was a shame.
Black Panther... I'm happy we got an Oscar. Black Panther... We got an Oscar before Marvel Studios, but Black Panther won an Oscar for like Best Costume.
Yes.
No one... I don't think any comic book movie actor has been... I'm lying. Other than the Joker.
Oh, okay. Yes.
With Joaquin Phoenix, but that's only because and Heath Ledger. I suppose those are the only two.
Well, I think I'm happy to separate, because there's also a distinction there where the Marvel movies are such product. They're such content, right? It's McDonald's cheeseburgers on a conveyor belt. It's the same thing, right? Every time. And I think that's the problem. And I think this is what Tarantino is getting at. Like, you're not going... It's like going to McDonald's. You see the arches, those golden arches, and you're like, oh, I want to go to McDonald's and get a cheeseburger because I know exactly what I'm going to get, right? I know exactly what it's going to taste like and how it's going to feel and how I'm going to feel sick afterwards.
Only if you're full.
After my supersized meal. No, I guess we don't do supersized anymore. There's a reference for the youngins. But yeah, and so with this, it's like, you know, you're not thinking about you know, anything else other than just the McDonald's product. You don't think about anything else other than the Marvel product. And that's what sucks you in. I think it's a shame because I think we're, you know, I think the problem that bugs me, and this is, with the Marvel stuff is the franchise-ness of Hollywood right now. Everything has to be franchise. It's Star Wars is beaten to death. Marvel is beaten to death. So far, DC hasn't. DC is a weird anomaly. It should be mega, but it hasn't reached mega yet, and I'm kind of glad that it hasn't. But it might in the future. But like Star Trek is getting beat to death, on CBS or Paramount Plus, all that kind of stuff, but you're not like watching a new Star Trek show and falling in love with these new great actors who are bringing these incredible characters to life. You're just watching Star Trek product now.
Yeah.
And it bums me out because I'm like, I think we're spending so much time these companies are spending so much time just producing, like I said, just the content, that we are missing out on potentially great, who could be the great actors of our age. But until the
Yeah.
Marvel machine fails, I feel like we're stuck here for
That's what I said.
who knows?
Until it stops making money,
Yeah.
and as long as it continues to make money, it's gonna continue to run.
Yes.
I mean, DC. I don't want DC to be another.
I don't either.
I don't want it to be another Marvel. It doesn't need to be. And the thing I said, I've said this so many times. People who know me have said I've said it. They know what they're doing with their comics, and they're so confident with what they're doing with their comics. And I don't think anyone can touch them with how they establish their comic book world. They know what they're doing with their animated movies. Like I can rewatch Under the Red Hood 100 times. It's such a good animated movie. Flashpoint's such a good animated movie. So they're confident with that. Whatever you think of their TV stuff, they just run with it. Stargirl completely different to Titans, completely different to Superman and Lois, all the Arrowverse stuff that you had. But then, so you have these 3 distinct products, and then you get to the movies and like, oh, hell, let's lose. It goes into panic mode. It's just do your thing. Stop looking at what your neighbour's doing. Like, Marvel do their thing. Let DC do their thing. Can we talk about Kevin Conroy and how upsetting that was?
We can. I was just gonna say Lena's comment. Lena the Lion is in the chat, and she says, with Marvel now, it feels like a copy and paste kind of formula.
It's more than copy and paste. It's just repeat. repeat.
Live, die, repeat.
Yeah, it's literally live, die, repeat. That's how I feel. And what annoys me is that they'll release a movie and the critic's like, this is brilliant. And you're like, this is not brilliant. What part of this is brilliant? What part haven't you seen before? Like,
well, that was my point. That's what I mean when I say that you have these. It's not that it's that reviewers are uneducated now. They're so devoted to the product because they want to be there opening night that they're willing to sacrifice their morals and their to appease the beasts that is Marvel and Disney.
And I think DC, one of the problems that DC is going to have is that they're always going, oh, Kevin Conroy. I think one of the problems DC has is that they're always going to be battling against people who are going to decide that it's shit because it's not Marvel Studio. So you're already going to have a section of the public who's just, they're not going to watch it. Oh, because it's not Marvel. It's going to be rubbish. So, there's no reason why Black Adam should have made like half of 500 million. There's no reason it should not have made that within a month of being out. But you're going to have this section that's going to decide before they've even watched an opening credit, before they've seen a rocket being caught, they're going to decide, this is rubbish. I ain't going to watch it. This is DC. It's not going to be like Marvel.
Yeah. So, yes.
But yeah, Kevin Conroy hurt me.
Yes. R.I.P. Batman. I know this was a couple of weeks ago, we haven't talked about it on the show, but yep, the Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman from the 90s through to like a couple of years ago.
Recent.
Whenever, I didn't even know he was ill. That was such a sad.
No, it was. He was only. Can I just show my T-shirt? Because it just says "I am the night."
Yes.
See, I am the night.
I am the
That's what it
night.
says. I am the night. I am Batman. I am vengeance. I am Batman. No, when it came out, I was like, what do you mean? Like, he can't be dead. This is, and the thing is, you hear his voice, and it's just Batman. He's Bruce Wayne, and it's not to say he's the one I grew up with, because there's been other Batmans before him, but he made Batman. He changed Saturday morning cartoons. It wasn't a Batman. The animated series wasn't a cartoon. It was dark, and it was so good. So yeah, him dying. It's just, what do you mean? You can't.
I know. This is a big one. This is a big one, because I agree. There was something so special about Batman the Animated Series. There's this sweet spot in the 90s in which a certain group of kids cartoons transcended Saturday morning cartoons, and this is one of them.
Batman, X-Men animated series, Spider-Man animated series, even like them Batman Beyond, because he was still playing old Batman
Beyond
with
great.
Terry. So you do have, and then obviously then it leads on to Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. So you have this block, a decade, more than a decade, because I think this was like 92. 91, 92. And we're going through to Young Justice. So it just created this snowball effect of they're not, I can't even describe them as cartoons, because they're, characters die in these cartoons, and they're dying, and it's so good. And he was so good. And I was reading because DC, I think for Pride, DC did an anthology, and then he had a story in there, and it was basically about his story coming to, and I read it after that. I thought I was going to cry, because it talked about him, his family, his dysfunctional family, his brother having mental health issues, moving to Hollywood, having to hide the fact that he was gay, and then being offered the role of Batman, and talking to the voice director, and he was like, well, how do I play him? And it's like, well, you've got to realize that, this is a man who, he's lost his parents, he's lost his childhood, he's putting on a mask to become someone else. And Kevin Conroy says that every one of those aspects, it was him. And in the last panel, he said this voice came out of nowhere, and it was Batman's voice, and you can hear it when you read the story. So I will tell everyone to read it, because it was so good, and it just fully sums him up and why he was perfect. To be the voice of Batman and Bruce Wayne.
Yes, a wonderful distinction between the two voices. They are the same but different, and it's tremendous voice acting, like incredible. Like, anyone who, if you're watching, you've not seen him, which I'm sure you have, but just go watch clips of Bruce Wayne and then his Batman, and the way he just subtly changes his voice is perfect. Christian Bale could have learned a thing or two.
It's so funny. I was watching something on Facebook, and he was appearing on a podcast, and they were asking him, who's your favorite Batman other than you? And he said he liked Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne, but he didn't like Batman, his voice as Batman. And he said he thought Affleck was brilliant, and he was a good Batman. So he's able to differentiate, the parts that he liked from Batman. But he was, he perfectly personified Bruce Wayne and Batman. And I think Stuart Jones has said Mark Hamill is just as good with the voice acting. And I think that's why they work so well, because he had Mark Hamill as the Joker, and you got him as Batman, and they were together. They were brilliant. And that was our Saturdays. Everyone looked forward to Batman. And
the animated show introduced us to Harley Quinn. She wasn't in the comics. She originated in the animated show.
And one of the things, I don't know why I always remember this. I think I was watching one of these behind the scenes of Batman the Animated Series, and I always remember that the reason why it said it had that atmosphere was because they painted it on a black background, and they completely reversed how they'd normally do animation. so it's all painted against a black background to give it that depth. But no, I'm sad. I'm sad he's gone. He's such a big. I didn't expect to be. I was surprised by how like he's gone, and everyone who loves Batman, his voice acting. Everyone feels the same way. It's like you felt like you lost your little part of your childhood's just gone.
You have
turn the lights off on it.
Yes, I think you have. I think it is always a shame when like a genuinely wonderful, talented person, when their light goes out. Especially someone who is, who was so, I think, inspirational and influential to decades of people. You just sort of like, no, it's not fair. Life, this shouldn't happen to someone this shouldn't happen to anyone. But it's just, it is a shame, and it does feel like a part of you because we invested so much time watching him and listening to him. That,
and not just on TV. Like if you're playing Arkham, it's his voice. It's his voice.
Yes.
Even like some of the later animated movies, it's his voice. They have different Batman, but you recognize his Batman.
Yes.
Every tone.
He will live on forever. He will forever be known as Batman in the same way that like Peter Cullen, I think is the guy's name, who was the voice of Optimus Prime in Transformers in the 80s. And then everyone was like, you have to get him for the movies, even though the movies suck.
Yeah.
It is nice that they have. I think you like some of the Transformers movies, but that's a conversation. When
Listen, one thing you learn about me.
What?
Yeah, I say one thing you learn about me. I like nonsense. I can entertain myself with nonsense, and Transformers is nonsense. So I can sit there and watch it. It doesn't hurt your brain. Sometimes you just need to watch stuff that doesn't hurt your brain.
Does hurt the brain. But when Beast Machines come, or Rise the Beasts, Transformers Rise the Beasts comes out, we will be chatting about that. We will chat about that.
We will chat about that.
I love Beast Wars. Beast Wars was my shit back in the day. I loved that growing up. Jeez.
We'll see how it goes.
But anyway, R.I.P. Kevin Conroy.
Rest in peace. Thank you for everything. Thank you for the Saturday mornings. Always.
Yes. I doubt
and
anyone
if you haven't
who knows
watched
him is watching this, but if you do, he was a dude. He was a dude.
He was. And if you haven't watched Mask of Phantasm, you should watch the Mask of Phantasm.
Oh my god, like literally one of the best. It is one of the best Batman movies. Period. Yes. Like
I watched it again. So when he died, I thought, because I've got the my godson bought me the Batman animated movies collection for Christmas one year. So I thought, what one should I watch? Because there's like I think there's 3 seasons. And it's got the Mask of Phantasm. I'm gonna watch that.
Is the animated show? Do you have it on? Is it on Blu-ray? I don't even know. I was just literally we were talking. I was like, I feel like I should.
I've got it. Yeah, I've got it. I've got it on Blu. I have a good godson. I have it on Blu-ray, and I also have the Batman Beyond collected series. So yeah, I'm easy to buy for.
I might have to look into these things because
look into it.
I wouldn't mind owning those.
Look into it and get it.
Yeah, I would love that. I'm sort of at the point in life where I'm like, I don't trust streaming as it's great as a fallback, but like I don't like the idea that things can just be taken away. It's like I'm paying for your site so I can watch certain things, but if you take those things away, I want to watch them.
You want to keep it. I understand.
Like if Paramount Plus ever took either Star Trek or South Park off their platform, I would cancel my subscription. Those are the main things I watch on there.
Bless you.
If Disney Plus ever got rid of X-Files, what the hell am I going to do?
They do have some good stuff on there. I'll give them that. They do have some good stuff.
Yes.
I've got my Batman animated series box set, so I'm good.
Yes. Lena says that happened to me mid Smallville on Prime. Yes, Smallville, love Smallville, was on Prime. Is it gone now? I did get the Blu-ray box set last Christmas, and it brings me great joy. It does.
That's, we should do the things that bring us joy. So I will watch Black Adam again.
Yes. I think, yeah. I mean, there's obviously a fair amount of criticism on the old Luke Deckard show, but we do talk about things that are fun. Last week was all fun. It was all talking about all things we loved. Because Lena and the Lions were on last week. We talked about Queen and Rocky and Highlander, which they only liked because of Queen.
It makes sense. That makes sense.
It does. Sense. But it was a good time. And next week, I'm not back on Wednesday. I'm back on Thursday next week. S.J. Bennett, the author of The Winds Are Not, is joining me.
Oh, they've got them on.
Yeah. She's going to come on and talk about her top 6 films and books. So that's going to be a fun discussion. So
have fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. But obviously, we will see you again, Nadine. We will have you back.
You will.
Whatever discussion we decide is worth having.
2 hours of my time.
I know. I notice when I have you on, these are some of the longest episodes that I have, because our She-Hulk was about 3 hours, and this is 2.5. And I was like, oh, we'll be an hour and a half tops. 2.5 hours later, it's okay. We're bringing joy to people.
It's what it is though. It's when you're passionate about something. I am passionate. I mean, this very small example of my collection. I have a whole stack of things that I need to read. I love comics. I love DC comics.
Yep.
I love stories, and it's the best form of storytelling for me. So
it is.
I agree. Yeah, I talk about the things I'm passionate about a lot.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you on that. I did write a comic book once, under my old name. I'll tell you off stream. But yeah,
you could tell me off screen.
It's good. What was it? It was something else. Oh yeah, the Luke Deckard Show is slowly expanding. For those who don't necessarily want to watch via the YouTube machine, you can now listen to the Luke Deckard Show on Spotify, Audible, and Apple Podcasts. So
taking over like Marvel.
Say again.
I think you're taking over like Marvel.
I'm taking over like Marvel, but I just thought, hey, there's other people out there who might not want to watch the video, but want to maybe listen in their ears. So if you have those platforms, do go and subscribe and leave reviews there, but also make sure to like and subscribe here as well as we continue to grow the channel. But anyway, Nadine, this was good fun.
It was fantastic.
We'll see you in the near future, and have fun in Japan.
I will have fun in Japan, and I think we'll talk about we'll definitely have to come back when Flashpoint is out.
Oh my god, yes. When is that? That's
I don't know. I have no idea. Who knows what they're doing dead dates. And when Blue Beetle comes out, I'll be back. Don't worry, I'll be back.
Flash movie. I'm just gonna look real quick. When it comes out in June. We'll have you back on way before June. That'd be ridiculous.
We'll be back before June, but we'll definitely be back for Flashpoint.
Yes, but okay, guys, we will see you next week, or I will see you next week with S.J. Bennett. Bye, everyone.
Bye.